Chapter 1743. There was actually a temple in the Trial City, but it was different from the gods and demons worshipped in the secular world. The temple in the human battlefield worshipped powerful martial gods and even earthly venerables who had made outstanding contributions to the human race. Their statues would be placed in the temple for all warriors who came to the human battlefield to pay their respects. Of course, going to the temple was not as simple as paying respects to these gods. According to Zhou Qiang, any warrior who received the call to come to the human battlefield would have a chance to receive a blessing from the temple. Brother, let me tell you, the blessings from the temple are amazing. One blessing is equivalent to 10 years of hard work. Especially for newcomers like you, the first time you receive a blessing, the reward is even more generous. Let's hurry up and take advantage of the fact that there are fewer people giving blessings now to receive your reward first. Zhou Qiang enthusiastically led the way in front. He had originally said that he would bring Yi Fei back to his residence, but now he did not mention where he lived at all. In addition to Zhou Qiang's introduction of the temple, Yi Fei's eyes flashed, and his face once again revealed a simple smile unique to honest people. At first glance, he looked simple and honest and very easy to bully. Zhou Qiang could not help but feel even more proud. In the end, as if he was afraid that Yi Fei would run away, he grabbed Yi Fei's arm and directly moved him to the entrance of the temple. This way, he could even save time to introduce Yi Fei to the local customs along the way. Yi Fei was still calm and collected. He just followed Zhou Qiang into the temple. Inside the temple, there were elders who were in charge of offering sacrifices. They wore large divine robes and were responsible for bestowing the human gods to the warriors who came to the battlefield of the human race. Blessings. The so-called blessings were to bow to these god statues. As long as one's heart was pious, the god statue would react. At this time, it would release a beam of spiritual energy into the warrior's body. When Yi Fei arrived, he just happened to see a new martial artist just like him receiving a blessing. He saw that this new martial artist was being guided by an elder to kneel towards the god of his own continent. At this time, the god statue would release a strange light that entered the martial artist's body. This divine light is mainly used to identify the people around you, to prevent shaman spies from sneaking into the battlefield of the human race. After your identity is identified, you will be able to register in the divine temple and officially become a member of the human race's battlefield. You will also receive the corresponding rewards. An elder of the temple walked over and said, "This person was not very strong. He was only an ordinary heaven-grade quasi-emperor. However, his status was very high. Even someone as evil as Zhou Qiang quickly bowed to this person. Yi Fei quickly bowed as well. Greetings, elder. Are you ready? Now, release your divine sense and bow to the statue. The statue will naturally sense it and grant you the corresponding blessing." The temple elder said, "I'm ready." Yi Fei nodded. These human ancestors were all true heroes who had fought bloody battles against the sorcerer tribe. It was only right for them to receive a bow from him. Immediately, Yi Fei followed the example of the people before him. He released his divine sense and communicated with the nearest statue. That statue was of a burly man with a mighty face and a huge axe in his hand. When Yi Fei's divine sense came into contact with the statue of the burly man, boom, a monstrous, murderous aura erupted from the statue. In a trance, Yi Fei seemed to have fallen into a terrifying battlefield. Countless sorcerers released all kinds of strange sorcery and attacked him. No wonder the person who received the blessing looked so pale. It turns out that when I used my divine sense to come into contact with the statue, it would produce illusions. Unfortunately, these illusions can't scare me. Yi Fei shook his head. His heart was like iron, and his will was like steel. He allowed the illusions to invade him, but remained as still as a mountain. After realizing that these illusions could not shake Yi Fei's will, the illusions gradually disappeared. Then, they formed a strange formation rune and glanced at Yi Fei. At this moment, Yi Fei was slightly nervous. He suddenly remembered that he had cultivated the spirit sea of sorcerers. If it was recognized, Wouldn't he be treated as a spy and be wanted by the human tribe on the battlefield? Fortunately, the statue of the divine temple was mainly checking whether he had a divine soul and not the mental nebula hidden in his mind. Although the statue stared at Yi Fei for a long time, it did not find anything unusual. In the end, the light of the statue dimmed. This also meant that Yi Fei had passed the screening of the statue. He had officially become a member of the human tribe on the battlefield. The elder of the divine temple, standing beside him, also took out a token with a serious expression. He handed it to Yi Fei and said, "Welcome to the human tribe on the battlefield. This is your identity token. It will automatically record your identity and the battle achievements you will obtain in the future. Of course, as a newcomer, according to the rules, you can obtain 1 drop of martial arts, God's essence blood, and a full attribute domain that can be transformed into any domain." As he spoke, the elder of the divine temple had already taken out these 2 items and was about to give them to Yi Fei. Yi Fei was shocked. The god of martial arts essence blood and a full attribute domain. This was the reward for newcomers who joined the human tribe on the battlefield. This reward was simply too generous. It was no wonder that countless martialists were racking their brains to enter the human tribe on the battlefield. Zhou Qiang was pleasantly surprised when he saw these 2 items. There was even a faint trace of greed in his eyes. Yi Fei also secretly noticed this person's abnormality. His heart turned cold. He understood that Zhou Qiang had brought him to the divine temple so enthusiastically because of these 2 treasures. However, Yi Fei did not say anything. The moment he received these 2 treasures, he immediately found a place to sit down in a lotus position and started to refine the god of martial arts essence blood. This scene immediately gave the surrounding martial artists a fright. This fellow is crazy. He wants to refine the god of martial arts essence blood as soon as he obtained it. Isn't he afraid that his body will explode and he will die? In fact, the god of martial arts essence blood distributed by the divine temple was completely different from the god of martial arts essence blood that Yi Fei had obtained at the Earth Array sect. The god of martial arts essence blood in the divine temple was the remnant of the martial arts essence blood when the martial arts had fought with great shamans on the battlefield. Later on, the divine temple collected it and gave it to newcomers to increase their strength. Therefore, the god of martial arts essence blood not only contained the divinity of the martial arts, but also the violent divine power of the martial arts. Not only was it difficult to refine, but it was also very easy to be injured by the remnant divine power. Normally, after obtaining this kind of god of martial arts essence blood, everyone would choose a quiet place to cultivate in seclusion. They would slowly absorb and refine it for 10 days to half a month. For people like Yi Fei, who directly refined and absorbed the god of martial arts essence blood as soon as they obtained it, they were either extremely powerful and did not fear the violent divine power of the god of martial arts essence blood at all, or they were standard rash people who did not know how violent the remnant divine power of the martial arts essence blood was. At this moment, seeing Yi Fei begin to refine the god of martial arts essence blood as soon as he obtained it, many martialists were shocked. Zhou Qiang's eyes were dull, and he also had the impulse to point at Yi Fei and scold him. After all, in his heart, Zhou Qiang had already considered the god of martial arts essence blood and domain that Yi Fei obtained as his own. Things were gone. Now that he saw Yi Fei waste the god of martial arts essence blood in front of him, Zhou Qiang's face immediately turned ashen with anger. However, Yi Fei did not seem to see Zhou Qiang's ashen face or the gazes of the surrounding martialists as if they were looking at a fool. Not only did he refine the drop of god of martial arts essence blood on the spot, he also refined the all-attribute domain at the same time. Boom! Chapter 1744. The Swamp Realm was one of the most peculiar realms. It was also one of the most difficult realms to comprehend. Strictly speaking, it was a rare realm and also one of the realms that troubled Yi Fei the most. At this moment, with the martial god's blood essence and the all-attribute realm, he had finally condensed the Swamp Realm. After condensing the Swamp Realm, Yi Fei could not help but become excited. As long as I integrate this swamp realm into the 8-level heavenly dragon, I will have completed the initial stage of this heavenly venerate technique. Furthermore, the number of heavenly realms that I have will increase to 9. 9 heavenly realms. This was the limit of a boundary emperor's realm. If he wanted to continue improving, he would have to break through to the martial emperor realm and give birth to a god realm. At this moment, Yi Fei was immersed in his cultivation. He had completely forgotten about Zhou Qiang and that he was still in the divine temple. He sat quietly in an inconspicuous corner and silently cultivated. The other warriors were even more surprised. However, they did not stop Yi Fei from cultivating here. After all, the divine temple was not only a place to worship the experts of the human race, but it was also a sacred place for cultivation. However, very few people were as bold as Yi Fei. He had obtained the martial god's blood essence and dared to cultivate on the spot. At the same time that Yi Fei was cultivating in the divine temple. Outside the temple, there was a luxuriously decorated war chariot. Several young beastmen wearing battle armor were slowly walking down from the war chariot. The leader had tiger stripes on his forehead and a powerful aura. He was obviously a young aristocrat from the orc race. As he walked down from the war chariot, he saw that the surroundings of the divine temple were filled with human race warriors. The young man's expression immediately revealed a trace of impatience and disgust. When the orcs saw that their master was unhappy, they immediately became fierce. They immediately pulled out their whips and lashed out at the crowd. "Get out! All of you get out of here! Our young master is here to worship the divine temple. Those who have nothing to do with this, all of you get out!" Crack! As he spoke, a few warriors who couldn't dodge in time were swept up by the whips and thrown out of the temple. This immediately made the elders of the temple furious. Who is making such a ruckus here? Don't you know that the temple forbids the use of force? Greetings, elders. I am Marquis Bai. I am here on the orders of the elders of the clan to pay my respects to the various deities. However, I do not like it. There are too many people watching me pay my respects. Elder, please get all the cultivators of the deity temple to withdraw. The tiger-striped youth arrogantly ordered the deity temple elder. Upon hearing his words, the expressions of many dissatisfied cultivators changed drastically. Lord Bai, he's the #1 youth expert of the Tiger Clan. It said that he's fought his way through 3 trial cities and never lost a single battle. I didn't expect him to come to our side again. No wonder these beastmen are so arrogant. They are actually Lord Bai's subordinates. At first, many martial artists were dissatisfied with being chased away. However, when they heard that it was the Tiger King, Bai Ho, they did not dare to say anything. Even the rookies who were still paying their respects to Man God were persuaded by their companions to stop. They didn't even dare claim the rookies' rewards. All they did was lower their heads and quickly leave the temple with nervous expressions. Seeing this, a look of disdain flashed across Lord Bai's cold eyes. The current human clan is getting weaker and weaker. They can't even find an opponent to fight with me. Haha, young master, you really know how to joke. You're the #1 expert of the Tiger Clan and a disciple of the Sky God Hall. Even if all the young powerhouses of the human clan were to band together, they wouldn't be able to take you on with one hand. A chubby tiger-striped man said naturally. This made the faces of the surrounding human cultivators turn ugly. Not only was Lord Bai's strength terrifying, but his status was also very high. Even the city lord of the trial cities didn't dare to offend him, not to mention the ordinary cultivators present. Hence, even though they knew that Lord Bai's request was unreasonable, the deity temple elder had no choice but to persuade the remaining cultivators to leave the temple one by one to avoid conflict. However, when it came to persuading Yi Fei, the deity temple elder became troubled. Given their strength, they could naturally tell that Yi Fei was still cultivating. When a cultivator was cultivating, it was taboo to be disturbed. Furthermore, Yi Fei was cultivating in a very remote corner of the deity temple. Hence, this wouldn't cause any disturbance. Let's forget about this person. The deity temple elders discussed amongst themselves. No, we can't forget about him. The young master said that when he is worshipping, no one else is allowed to be present, including you deity temple elders. You'd better wake him up and get out of the deity temple with him. A tiger-striped man noticed Yi Fei, who was cultivating, and immediately walked over unhappily. One had to know that when they came to worship the human clan's deity temple, they were just there to go through the motions. They weren't there to worship sincerely, much less bow to the human clan's deity temple. Hence, they definitely wouldn't allow any human to be present and discover their rude behavior. Hearing the tiger-striped man's words, not only did the deity temple elder's face change, but even Zhou Chang's face turned pale. He secretly complained, "What a pity. An honest person like Brother Yi is the easiest to deceive and bully." In the end, he offended Lord Bai of the Tiger Clan. Now, no one can save him. Now that he's here, it's best to cut ties with him as soon as possible. While no one was paying attention, Zhou Qiang was already planning to slip away. At this time, a deity temple elder pulled him back. "Don't go yet. Isn't this person your brother? I remember that you brought him here. He's cultivating, and we shouldn't disturb him. You're his big brother. Go wake him up and let him leave quickly. Otherwise, he'll get into trouble." Zhou Qiang became anxious when he heard this. When he saw the tiger-striped man looking over, he quickly covered his face and said, "You've got the wrong person. I don't know him." "You don't know him? That's good. Since he doesn't want to get up, then let him get out like this." The tiger-striped man was already very impatient. Immediately, they didn't care whether Yi Fei was still cultivating or not. They suddenly stretched out their true essence giant hand and grabbed Yi Fei. They wanted to directly grab Yi Fei and throw him out of the deity temple. "What's going on? I didn't provoke these outsiders. Why did they suddenly attack me?" At this time, Yi Fei had already refined the last bit of the martial god's blood essence. As long as he finished refining it, he would be free to condense the swamp domain and cultivate it into the swamp hexagram of the 8-level heavenly dragon. But at this time, his martial arts instincts sensed an attack from the outside world. Before he could think about the reason, he discovered that someone was attacking him. Yi Fei immediately counterattacked. The swamp domain that he had just condensed immediately turned into a swamp kingdom and completely swallowed the opponent's true essence palm. Chapter 1745. You're courting death. Azura, Divine Fist. Yi Fei was thoroughly infuriated by the Tigerman's provocation. He did not expect that the Tiger Man would attack him for no reason when he was just cultivating in the temple and did not cause any trouble. If it was someone else, they might have swallowed their anger after considering the superiority of the other races in the Trial City. However, Yi Fei did not care if these Tiger Men were superior or not. Since they dared to attack him, they had to bear the consequences of their actions. Bang! The Tiger Man who attacked felt as if his ferocious tiger fist had sunk into an incomparably muddy swamp. His movements became incomparably slow. Yi Fei's Azura Divine Fist had already sent the Tiger Man flying while screaming miserably. Heavens! What kind of medicine did that brat eat? He actually sent the Tiger Man, who is known for his strength, flying with one punch. Which continent is this newcomer from? He's so valiant that he even dares to hit someone from the Tiger tribe. The surrounding cultivators were all startled when they saw the Tiger Man, who was sent flying while vomiting blood. However, Zhou Qiang was the most shocked. Didn't Brother Yi say that he's only an ordinary heaven stage quasi-emperor? His most powerful skill is a martial emperor's ultimate technique. Brother Yi is an honest person. He shouldn't be lying, what? The most ordinary heaven stage quasi-emperor? His most powerful skill is a martial emperor's ultimate technique? Zhou Chang's words gave the cultivators present a fright. One had to know that those who could come to the human race battlefield were all heaven stage quasi-emperors. The only difference was the strength of their domains and martial techniques. Zhou Qiang actually said that Yi Fei used a martial emperor's ultimate technique to send a tiger tribe expert flying. This was simply shocking. Not to mention the human race cultivators. Even the tiger tribe cultivators were startled. Then, they flew into a rage. "Brat, how dare you attack our tiger tribe? Get over here and kneel down to receive your death." Roar! Seeing that their companion was beaten back by Yi Fei, the surrounding 7 or 8 tiger tribe experts roared furiously and pounced at Yi Fei at the same time. It's over. Brother Yi, you're over. You're too honest. It's fine if you fight back when others hit you, but if you fight back when the tiger men hit you, isn't that giving them an excuse to deal with you? Zhou Qiang closed his eyes in fear, as if he couldn't bear to see Yi Fei being beaten so badly by the tiger man. Yi Fei couldn't help but feel angry when he saw these tiger men pushing their luck and attacking him at the same time. Since you want to die, don't blame me for being merciless. Scram! Azura, slaying gods. Boom! In his fury, Yi Fei could not be bothered to hide his strength. He was like a dragon beast in human form. The moment he attacked, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The whistling fist beam, accompanied by the power to destroy the stars, completely blew up the sky above the divine temple. That's not right. You are not an ordinary heaven-grade quasi-emperor. What you're executing is definitely not a martial emperor's powerful technique. Why are you still not stopping? Tiger roaring in the forest. Roar! Just as Yi Fei's fist light enveloped the tiger men that were besieging him, another incomparably powerful figure, like a divine tiger, charged from afar and arrived in front of Yi Fei in a single step. The whistling true essence formed an incomparably terrifying divine tiger claw that tore through the heavens and earth as it fiercely slammed down. Yi Fei, it's Lord Bai. Oh my god, Lord Bai is actually attacking personally. Kill. I don't care if you're a white monkey or a black monkey. If you provoke me, you will have to pay the price in blood. Yi Fei was furious. Interrupting someone's cultivation was already a big taboo. However, this group of tiger men attacked him so fiercely. This was even more intolerable. Yi Fei executed the Azura Divine Fist to its limit, instantly turning into an invincible Azura. The dazzling fist beam was like a star that could destroy gods as it collided with Lord Bai's divine tiger claw. Bang! With the two of them as the epicenter, a terrifying spatial shockwave erupted from the temple, causing the entire temple to shake violently. The 7 or 8 tiger men who wanted to attack Yi Fei spat out blood crazily. They could not withstand the aura of the Azura Divine Fist and fainted on the spot. Of course, the most shocked person was Lord Bai himself. Including this place, he had already been to 3 trial cities of the human clan. In total, he had defeated hundreds of human clan experts and had yet to meet a worthy opponent. This made Marquis Bai despise the human race from the bottom of his heart. That was why he didn't want to worship the human race's temple. Instead, he wanted to chase everyone away and deal with the matter. However, Lord Bai did not expect that he would meet Yi Fei here. At this moment, Yi Fei was able to block his divine tiger claw and did not even take half a step back. Lord Bai's body suddenly exploded with a blazing battle intent. He was like an enraged divine tiger, roaring toward the sky. Roar, so that's how it is. You are a human tribe expert. Very good, you are qualified to fight with me. What are you roaring for? Are you in a hurry to be reincarnated? Yi Fei looked angry and suddenly roared like Lord Bai. He also allowed a tiger roar, but it was different from Lord Bai's divine tiger roar. Yi Fei let out the white tiger roar. At the same time, a boiling killing intent covered the sky, causing Lord Bai and the people around the temple to feel fear. All the martial artists felt fear and tremble from the depths of their souls. What a terrifying killing intent. Is this kid a murderous demon? Oh my god, he actually blocked Lord Bai's attack. Lord Bai actually said that this person can fight with him. Since when did our human race have such a young expert? Feeling Yi Fei's boundless battle intent, which was no weaker than Lord Bai's, the martial artists around the temple were all dumbfounded. Zhou Qiang was even more dumbfounded. On one hand, he was still immersed in Yi Fei's simple and honest smile, unable to extricate himself from it. He had always thought that Yi Fei was simple and honest and easy to bully. However, on the other hand, Yi Fei's current display of strength, dominance, and arrogance made Zhou Qiang unable to associate Yi Fei with simple and honest people. Similarly, Yi Fei and Lord Bai's battle did not really start. It was not that Yi Fei did not want to teach these arrogant tiger men a lesson. It was because this was the human tribe's divine temple. It was a solemn place dedicated to the gods. Almost as soon as Yi Fei and Lord Bai made their move, the elders of the divine temple had already informed the Trial City Lord of what had happened. When the Trial City Lord heard the news, he was naturally alarmed. He immediately used his martial emperor's aura to envelop the entire divine temple. Under this boundless martial emperor's aura, all the martial artists, including the elders of the divine temple, knelt down in fear. In the field, only two people were still standing. One was Lord Bai, and the other was Yi Fei. At this moment, the two of them were like enraged tigers, glaring at each other. If it weren't for the Emperor's aura in the sky that was too strong, the two of them might have already started fighting. Chapter 1746. City Governor. No one dared to not kneel before the Emperor's might. All the human tribe warriors knelt down, except for Yi Fei, who was still like an indestructible sword peak. He did not hide his sharpness at all. On the other side, Lord Bai did the same. He was the top youth expert of the tiger tribe and had been invincible in the 3 trial cities. When one's strength reached the level of Yi Fei and Lord Bai, even if they were not martial emperors, they were no longer afraid of martial emperors. At that moment, when he saw the trial city's governor appear, Lord Bai rolled his eyes and suddenly cupped his hands angrily at the trial city's governor. City Governor, you have come at the right time. The ancestors of the tiger tribe have risked their lives in the human tribe's battlefield for tens of thousands of years to help the human tribe fend off the sorcerer tribe. I, Lord Bai, have come to the human tribe's divine temple to pay my respects to the human tribe's ancestors. Who would have thought that there would be someone in the city who would openly commit murder and injure my tribesmen? City Governor, please give me an explanation. Since there is such a thing, Lord Bai, don't worry. I will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation. When the trial city's governor heard what Lord Bai had said, a furious aura suddenly appeared on his body. When he faced Lord Bai, he comforted him gently. However, when he looked at Yi Fei, the city governor's gaze immediately turned cold. He immediately scolded him sternly. You have heard what Lord Bai said. Why aren't you kneeling down and apologizing to Lord Bai? Apologizing? May I ask, City Governor, what did I do wrong? I was obediently cultivating in the corner of the divine temple. But did I get in the way? In the end, this group of tiger tribesmen attacked me while I was cultivating. Since they injured me first, I not allowed to retaliate? Yi Fei was furious. He had thought that if he could become a city governor in the human tribe's battlefield, he would be magnanimous and at least be able to distinguish right from wrong. However, he was wrong. Where there were people, there would be conflicts. From the city governor's attitude, it was obvious that he was biased towards Marquis Bai. Not only did Yi Fei not kneel before a martial emperor like him, but he even dared to talk back to him and disobey his orders. This made the trial city lord even more furious. Without any warning, an incomparably terrifying emperor's might turned into an incomparably heavy pressure, causing the space of the entire deity temple to creak. Good. You, a junior who has never even been on the battlefield, actually dares to defy this city lord's orders. To tell you the truth, it was this city lord's personal order to clear the temple and allow the tigers to worship the gods alone. If you don't carry out the order, then you are guilty. You beat up the tiger man and destroyed the human race. Your relationship with the tiger clan is even worse. With your crimes, this city lord can directly imprison you in the heavenly prison and imprison you for 500 years. Do you believe me? The trial city lord's expression was cold. Even though he knew that this matter was Lord Bai's fault, on one side was the #1 youth expert of the tiger clan, the future leader of the tiger clan, and on the other side was an unknown junior of the human race. The trial city lord naturally knew what choice to make. When he heard the trial city lord's threatening words, Yi Fei couldn't help but feel disappointed in the human tribe's battlefield. Originally, I thought that the human tribe's battlefield was filled with iron-blooded, hot-blooded men. I never imagined that it would be filled with people like you. If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. Since you say that I am guilty, then fine. But may I ask, City Lord, what kind of crime is blaspheming the statues of the gods? If anyone dares blaspheme the gods, they will be hunted down by all the powerhouses of the human race. The ones who spoke were not the Trial City Lord, but the elders of the Divine Temple. As long as it involved the Divine Temple, they had to take a stand. Otherwise, it would be a dereliction of duty. Yifei was also waiting for these words. At this time, he pointed at the statue not far away and said, "Elder, you said it very well. I remember you saying that martial arts are forbidden in the Divine Temple. But when I was cultivating, I discovered that these tiger men came in and started beating people with whips. They didn't have the slightest bit of respect for the gods. Elder, does this count as blaspheming the gods?" The Divine Temple elder's expression changed. He suddenly regretted answering Yi Fei's question. According to Yi Fei's words, even if the tiger men's actions weren't blaspheming the gods, it was still a great disrespect to the Divine Temple. But these words were only known in his heart. This Divine Temple elder didn't have the guts to say it out loud. "Come out." The Trial City Lord also took a deep breath. He didn't expect Yi Fei's counterattack to be so sharp. He instantly grasped the key point. But anyone who could become a city lord wasn't stupid. The Trial City Lord was only a little surprised, but he quickly reacted. He said in a seemingly impartial tone, "What you said, is there anyone who can prove it? Young Master Marquis did anyone see your people use martial arts in the Divine Temple?" "No, absolutely not. All the warriors here can testify for us. We didn't use martial arts. We were just very polite and asked everyone to leave. There was only one person who used martial arts, and that was this person." Marquis wasn't stupid. He quickly understood and cried out for injustice. At the same time, his tiger-like eyes shone brightly. Two beams of golden light flashed as he stared at everyone present. The warriors around the Divine Temple weren't stupid either. They knew that if they spoke the truth now, they would completely offend Marquis and the City Lord. Although many people silently sympathized with Yi Fei, no one dared to stand up and speak the truth. Even the elders of the Divine Temple were the same. Seeing this, Yi Fei couldn't help but feel even more disappointed. Although he didn't understand why the Trial City Lord was so biased towards Marquis it wasn't his style to remain silent after being framed. Without waiting for the Trial City Lord and Marquis to be proud, Yi Fei suddenly pointed at someone in the crowd and said, "Who said that I didn't have a witness? Zhou Qiang is a witness." Boom! Yi Fei's words were like a bolt of lightning that exploded on Zhou Qiang. He hurriedly jumped up and was about to loudly deny it. But before Zhou Qiang could deny it, Yi Fei suddenly transmitted his voice to Zhou Qiang. "Big brother Zhou, don't be afraid. Although we are honest people, we are not easy to bully. Look at me. You have to believe me. Believe that justice is in the hearts of people." Yi Fei's voice seemed to have a strange magic. Hearing this voice, Zhou Qiang's mind suddenly became confused. Before he could figure out what was going on, seeing that the mind control technique of the heavenly sage demon art was effective, Yi Fei mustered up his strength and forcefully patted Zhou Qiang's shoulder, full of grief and indignation. He shouted loudly, "Big brother Zhou, don't be afraid. Your brother is right beside you. Now you just have to bravely speak the truth." "Yes, I want to speak the truth. City Lord, I, Zhou Qiang, am willing to swear on my divine soul that what Yi Fei said is true. It was Marquis who brought the tiger men to cause trouble in the Divine Temple. They even ignored the elders of the Divine Temple and wanted to use force to drive us out. If I speak a single lie, I will not be able to pass the martial emperor tribulation." Chapter 1747. When the Trial City Lord looked at Zhou Qiang, an undetectable shock and coldness flashed in his eyes. Marquis looked at Zhou Qiang with a gaze that could devour him. Heavens, what did I say? What kind of madness did I go crazy? I actually said something like that. When Zhou Qiang realized what he had done, he was so frightened that his face shrank into a ball. At the same time, Zhou Chang's words were like a hurricane that swept through the entire trial city. There were many people in the city who recognized Zhou Qiang. At this moment, their faces were filled with shock and disbelief. Heavens! Isn't that Zhou Qiang, who specializes in deceiving newcomers? He is just the most ordinary heaven-grade quasi-emperor. He actually has the guts to offend Marquis, Bai, and even the city lord. Hearing the discussions around him, Zhou Chang's wrinkled face started to tremble. The moment he came to his senses, Zhou Qiang cried out loudly, "City lord, what happened just now doesn't count." Actually, Yi Fei suddenly patted Zhou Chang's shoulder again, deepening the influence of the heavenly sage demonic art on Zhou Qiang. "Big brother Zhou, actually, you don't have to be afraid. Although we are all honest people, we are not easy to bully. If you have any grievances, just be bold and tell the city lord." Suddenly, Zhou Chang's entire person erupted with a righteous aura. The words that were about to come out of his mouth immediately turned into a righteous reprimand. "What city lord? This person is just a lackey of the tiger race. He is muddle-headed and incompetent. As a city lord of our human race, he only knows how to side with outsiders. He is really a disgrace to our human race." Boom! When Zhou Qiang said this, the surrounding cultivators were no longer just shocked. Many of them were so frightened that their faces turned pale. The trial city lord was so angry that his entire body trembled. He was a city lord after all. Furthermore, he was a martial emperor who had made great contributions in the human race's battlefield. In the end, after Zhou Qiang said this, even if his reputation did not go down the drain, it was inevitable that he would be criticized. However, what Zhou Qiang said was the truth. Furthermore, he swore on his spiritual soul in front of everyone, catching the trial city lord off guard. At this moment, if he slapped Zhou Qiang to death, it would definitely incite public anger, proving that Zhou Qiang was speaking the truth. For a moment, the trial city lord looked at Zhou Qiang with a gaze that could devour him. Feeling the city lord's gaze, Zhou Qiang was so scared that his hands and feet turned cold. His limbs went soft, and he wanted to cry, but had no tears. He almost fell to the ground and cried bitterly. He was just deceiving a newcomer to gain some benefits. What was wrong with him? Not only did he take the risk to testify for Yi Fei, but he even scolded the city lord for being muddle-headed and incompetent in front of everyone. Just based on these words alone, he could forget about continuing to live in this trial city. Thinking of this, Zhou Chang's vision turned black, and he showed signs of fainting. However, before Zhou Qiang really fainted, Yi Fei patted Zhou Chang's shoulder again. Not only did he transfer a large amount of true essence to Zhou Qiang, but he also casually asked, "Big brother Zhou, what you said is too good." You can actually tell that the city lord is biased towards outsiders at a glance. What should we do now? The heavenly sage demon art was activated once more. Zhou Qiang was so scared that his legs had gone soft. But after Yi Fei patted him, Zhou Chang's entire body was filled with righteousness. He righteously roared out, "What else can we do? The humans cannot be bullied, and the temple cannot be insulted. Brothers, since the city lord is muddle-headed and incompetent and cannot uphold justice for us, then what should we do? What else is there to say? Grab your weapons and beat up this group of disrespectful scum." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Chang's face paled. Not only had his 3 souls been scared away, but he had even pissed himself on the spot, his urine flowing down his pants and onto the ground. But at this time, no one laughed at him. Instead, they were filled with awe and respect. When they saw Zhou Qiang so scared that he had pissed his pants and was still so impassioned and righteous, this undoubtedly stirred the blood in many people's hearts. In the end, those that were able to come to the human battlefield were all peak powerhouses of their respective continents. In their own continents, they were lofty existences. After arriving at the trial city and being bullied by outsiders like Marquis, Bai, many people had already accumulated an endless amount of resentment. At this time, seeing someone take the lead, many of the martial artists around the temple were enraged. Yi Fei took the lead in applauding, "Big brother Zhou, well done. Zhou Qiang, well done. You spoke our hearts out loud. The tiger race has gone too far. They have blasphemed the human god. This matter absolutely cannot be tolerated. Sure enough, justice is in the hearts of the people. If there were more righteous martial artists like Brother Zhou in this city, how could we possibly be bullied by outsiders? From now on, I will submit to no one but Zhou Zhengyi. Pa pa pa. With Yi Fei taking the lead, all the martial artists in the temple enthusiastically applauded Zhou Qiang. From then on, Zhou Qiang gained another nickname in the trial city. He was called Zhou Zhengyi. At the same time, even though Zhou Qiang had pissed his pants in fear, he still persisted in upholding justice and not fearing authority. This story spread far and wide. However, when Zhou Qiang heard the applause, he did not feel the slightest bit of joy. Instead, he felt like cutting his own throat with a knife. The trial city lord's face turned from ashen to the color of a pig's liver. In the face of such a turbulent crowd, even though he was a martial emperor, if he did not handle it well, his reputation would be completely ruined. Marquis Bai, look at what you have done. This city lord only asked you to come to the temple to pay your respects. Instead, you allowed your subordinates to use force in the temple. Hurry up and apologize to the temple. The trial city lord suddenly shouted at Marquis Bai furiously. Marquis Bai was not stupid. When he saw that he had angered the crowd, he immediately lowered his head and apologized to the elders of the temple. Elders, we were rash. I, Marquis Bai, swear that such a thing will never happen again. Also, many thanks to these two brothers of the human race for pointing out our mistake. Brother Zhou Qiang, I, Marquis Bai, will remember you. We will definitely meet again at the trial battle. Right. We are all young people. It was just a misunderstanding. Now that it has been resolved, let's disperse. The trial city lord's expression was very ugly. He looked deeply at Zhou Qiang and Yi Fei. With a cold snort, he disappeared from the temple and returned to the city lord's mansion. Marquis Bai also looked at Zhou Qiang with a ferocious gaze. At this moment, Marquis Bai's hatred for Zhou Qiang was even greater than Yi Fei's. Only then did he turn around and quickly leave the temple with his subordinates, who had already woken up. When the surrounding cultivators saw that there was no more drama to watch, they gradually dispersed and went about their own business. Of course, there were also some enthusiastic people who secretly sent voice transmissions to Yi Fei and Zhou Qiang, telling them to be careful. No one was a fool. Naturally, they understood that Zhou Qiang and Yi Fei would not have a good ending if they had offended the city lord and Marquis Bai. Chapter 1748. Don't worry. Big Brother Zhou is just too excited. I'll bring him back to his residence. He'll be fine after a few days of rest. Yi Fei calmed himself down and explained. The elder of the divine temple did not doubt him. After all, he had personally seen Zhou Qiang risk his life to help Yi Fei. When he saw Yi Fei helping Zhou Qiang out of the divine temple, that elder sighed. This young master Zhou is a good person. In the past, he often brought newcomers here to receive rewards. I didn't expect him to be such a righteous person. Zhou Zhengyi lives up to his reputation. Thanks to Zhou Qiang's righteous reputation, even though Zhou Qiang did not tell Yi Fei where he lived, there were still many enthusiastic people who helped point the way, allowing Yi Fei to easily find Zhou Qiang's residence. What surprised Yi Fei was that Zhou Qiang seemed to be doing quite well in the trial city. He actually lived in a large courtyard with 3 entrances and 3 exits. There was even a cultivation room in the back. However, when Yi Fei thought about how Zhou Qiang had tricked countless newcomers before him, openly and secretly stealing their treasures, it was not strange for him to be able to live in such a large courtyard in the trial city. It's just a pity. Zhou Qiang, you shouldn't have had any ideas about me. I'm an honest person, but I'm not someone who can be bullied by others. Tell me, how do you know about the martial heaven continent? Yi Fei walked into the courtyard, activated a restrictive spell, and threw Zhou Qiang to the ground. No matter what, Zhou Qiang was still a heaven-grade quasi-emperor. Although he had fainted from fright, he had already regained consciousness when Yi Fei helped him out of the divine temple. However, Zhou Qiang had been enduring patiently until Yi Fei brought him back to his residence. Only when there were no outsiders did Zhou Qiang suddenly stand up and roar at the sky, charging at Yi Fei. Yi Fei, demon Yi Fei, you've caused me so much trouble. If I don't kill you today, I swear I'm not human. Big brother Zhou, don't speak nonsense. I'm clearly an honest person. How could I possibly harm others? It's more likely that you've harmed me, said Yi Fei in shock. Unexpectedly, when Zhou Qiang heard this, not only did his face turn black with anger, he even showed signs of turning into a devil. Endless devil flames burst out from his body as he roared, "Shut up, goddamn honest man. After all this time, you guys are the ones who are the best at lying. You said that you are only a heaven-grade quasi-emperor, and that your strongest technique is a martial emperor's ultimate technique. Do you take me for a fool? No. Later on, you even used an evil technique to influence my mind. I was really stupid. How could I have believed that you were an honest person?" Roar. The more he spoke, the more agitated he became. In the end, what came out of Zhou Qiang's mouth was no longer a human's voice, but a pure, demonic roar. This immediately gave Yi Fei a fright. He didn't do anything. All he did was teach Zhou Qiang a little lesson. Yet, Zhou Qiang couldn't help but be stimulated to the point of going crazy. But it doesn't matter even if you become a devil. My heavenly saint devil art can be either holy or demonic. Even if you are a devil, I can still turn you into a good person. Also, I am really an honest man. But I'm an honest man, so I won't lose out. Yi Fei was still in the mood, so he emphasized it once more. Hearing the words honest person, Zhou Qiang was greatly stimulated, causing him to enter a state of madness. At this moment, he roared and charged towards Yi Fei. Yi Fei was startled as well. He discovered that Zhou Qiang's talent was not very strong. However, his quintessence was very dense, and it even contained a faint fluctuation of divinity. So that is the case. No wonder you purposely deceive newcomers. It turns out that you actually have a way to refine the divinity in the martial god's essence blood to increase your offensive power. Unfortunately, what belongs to others is still theirs in the end. No matter how much divinity you refine, it is still an external force. Domain. Sword, suppress for me. Boom. With a thought from Yi Fei, 9 incomparably resplendent domain lights suddenly erupted from his divine soul. These were Yi Fei's 9 great heaven-ranked domains. These were also the limits of what a quasi-emperor could condense. When Yi Fei released these 9 heaven-grade domains, Zhou Qiang, who had gone crazy, was immediately suppressed to the ground by the 9 terrifying divine sword lights, unable to move. Even the inner demons that had affected Zhou Qiang were suppressed and dispersed by these 9 divine swords. The madness in Zhou Qiang's eyes gradually receded. When he saw the 9 sun-like heaven-grade domains floating behind Yi Fei, he was so frightened that his entire body trembled. Tears of grief and indignation flowed out of his eyes. My God, how stupid was I to believe that he was an honest man? 9 heaven-grade domains. These are the ultimate domains that only exceptional demons can cultivate. When he thought about how he had actually treated an exceptional demon as an honest man who could be easily bullied and even tried to cheat Yi Fei of the martial god's essence blood, Zhou Qiang couldn't help but tremble all over. Then, without another word, he started to beg for mercy. Young Master Yi, please spare my life. I didn't recognize you. I shouldn't have offended you. Get up. Although you approached me with ill intentions, if you hadn't stepped forward bravely in the divine temple, I wouldn't have been able to block the trial city lords so easily. Yi Fei felt that for the most part, he was still an honest person. When he heard this, Zhou Qiang was so aggrieved and indignant that he spat out a mouthful of old blood. Young Master Yi, there is no enmity between us. Why did you harm me like that? Since there is no enmity between us, why did you try to deceive me from the start? If I didn't refine the martial god's essence blood immediately after obtaining it, would you have thought of a way to steal or cheat me of it? Yi Fei's tone was as calm as ever. Zhou Qiang immediately turned red, unable to speak. If Yi Fei's power had been lower, he might have been able to resist. But seeing Yi Fei's 9 sun-like domains, Zhou Qiang felt so much despair that he didn't even have the courage to resist. Of course, Yi Fei didn't keep this person around just because Zhou Qiang had deceived him. Seeing that this person was completely obedient, Yi Fei asked, "Tell me, how did you know I came from the martial heaven continent? Remember, I'm an honest man, but I'm not easy to deceive." As he spoke, Yi Fei once more revealed that simple smile of an honest man. Seeing that smile again, Zhou Qiang wasn't affected. Instead, he felt his hair stand on end. It was as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. "Young Master Yi, please spare me. The reason I knew you came from the martial heaven continent was because before you, there was a martial artist from the martial heaven continent who also entered the trial city. I still remember his name. I remember now. He's called Dong Fangyu." Zhou Qiang was so frightened that he almost spilled beans. "What did you say? Dong Fangyu came to the human battlefield?" Yi Fei was shocked. Then an extremely strange expression appeared on his face. Although the Army of Destruction's transportation formation was a trap, it shouldn't have been so ridiculous. Sending Dong Fangyu out of the ancient starry sky path was already very strange. But Dong Fangyu had actually sent him directly to the human battlefield. Yi Fei immediately began to ask for more details, afraid of missing any clues. Zhou Qiang also answered all of his questions. Not only did he tell Yi Fei how he had met Dong Fangyu, but he also told him an important piece of information. Chapter 1749. Zhou Qiang had condensed Dong Fangyu's appearance. Because Dong Fangyu and Yi Fei had both come from the 4 sacred academies, their robes were similar. That was why Zhou Qiang had been able to deduce that Yi Fei had come from a martial heaven continent at first glance. As for why Dong Fangyu had come to the human battlefield, Zhou Qiang didn't know. However, Yi Fei could guess a bit. Needless to say, it must have been the Army of Destruction's damned transportation formation that sent Dong Fangyu to the Heaven Spirit continent. Then, for some unknown reason, Dong Fangyu caught the eye of a certain woman on the Heaven Spirit continent and was brought to the human battlefield. Furthermore, he was sent directly to Wine Cloud City on the front lines. The more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. After all, Dong Fangyu's luck with women was something Yi Fei had personally witnessed during the Earth Formation Sect trial. He still remembered that in the village of the Formation world, every time he practiced martial arts, he would only attract a group of children. But every time Dong Fangyu practiced martial arts, he would attract a group of women. That was right. Thinking of that, Yi Fei couldn't help but envy Dong Fangyu's luck with women. It seems Dong Fangyu has profited from a disaster. Now, the most important thing is to find Zhao Yu and Lu Qing. Yi Fei's expression gradually became grave. He looked at Zhou Qiang once more. "Zhou Qiang, since you dared to deceive people in the trial cities, you should be well informed. If I want to find 2 people here, what should I do?" "Young Master Yi, you're making things difficult for me. The human battlefield has 10 trial cities, but over 30 continents, and even the starry sky have gathered here. Furthermore, the location of the summons is random. Unless you're a martial god and can command the city lords of each city, finding someone is like looking for a needle in a haystack. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. However, there's a way to let the people you care about know that you've come." Zhou Qiang looked at Yi Fei. Seeing Yi Fei's encouraging gaze, he raised his spirits. He told Yi Fei that in the trial cities, other than the trial battles, there was another way for Yi Fei to quickly become famous. That method was to enter the Wind Cloud ranking. Only then did Yi Fei learn that just like the Starry Sky battle ranking on the ancient path, the human battlefield had a similar ranking. Anyone who could enter the Wind Cloud ranking were geniuses amongst geniuses. Not only could they become famous overnight, but their names would also spread's name would be heard in the trial cities. Wind Cloud ranking was a Wind Cloud ranking rank's name. So no matter what he did in the trial city, the city lords would tolerate him, or even cited. Ranks Wind. Wind Cloud. S is a Wind Cloud ranking had. The Fengyan list? This is a good list. Even if I can't find Zhao Yu and Lu Qing with this list, At least I can tell them that I've come to the human battlefield. Name to it, for now, was. There were many cultivators entering the human battlefield every day. A place like the wind cloud ranking would definitely attract many cultivators to watch the test. It would be fine if he passed the test, but if he failed, it would be very embarrassing. Yifei naturally hoped that he could keep a low profile during the test. In order to send Yifei, the god of plague, away as soon as possible, Zhou Qiang hurriedly brought Yifei in front of a huge stone tablet. The steel looked a little like the martial soul steel Yifei had seen in the battle god space. However, the martial soul steel in the trial cities was dozens of times larger. Young Master Yi, this is the martial soul steel used to test the wind cloud ranking. Anyone who can leave their name on it will at least break through to martial emperor in the future. Therefore, many cultivators take pride in being able to enter the wind cloud ranking. This will make the experts of the human battlefield value you even more, Zhou Qiang said. I'm not asking the experts of the human race to take a fancy to me. I just want Zhao Yu and Lu Qing to know that I've come. That's enough. Yifei shook his head indifferently. He had arrived at the latter half of the night. At this time, most cultivators were either cultivating or sleeping. Only he and Zhou Qiang were around the martial soul steel. Without any hesitation, Yifei directly flew towards the martial soul steel. Boom! When he approached the martial soul steel, an extremely terrifying pressure suddenly surged over. It was not the might of an emperor, but the might of a god. The might of a martial god? Interesting. Not only is this martial soul steel connected to the steels of the other trial cities, but it's also protected by a martial god. It's impossible for people who aren't strong enough to even approach the steel, let alone leave their name on it. There are many names on it. Yifei endured the pressure. When he landed below the martial soul steel, he discovered that there were many names on it. These were the experts of the various continents. According to the results of the tests, almost 80% of them had broken through to martial emperor, and 50% had broken through to martial god. It could be said that the martial soul steel was a test of one's potential. To a certain extent, it would determine a cultivator's future. No wonder the city lord favors Marquis by so much. This person's talent is startling. The names on the martial soul steel are divided into 4 ranks: gold, silver, black, and white. Marquis is actually ranked silver. At the very least, he'll become a martial god in the future. If he can enter the gold rank, he'll have even more hope in the future. He'll have a sliver of a chance at becoming an earthly exalt. However, although there were many experts who had left their names on the martial soul steel, there were only a dozen or so who were ranked gold. Yifei discovered many extremely familiar names on the steel: Divine Emperor Zhenwu, Tian Jinzi, Di Jinzi, and Formation Fairy. They're all martial gods from the ancient times. Du Tian is the one who left his name Du Tianjinzi. When he saw the gold names, one of the names almost made Yifei jump in fright. Afterwards, he became excited. Du Tianjinzi is the same as me. He also cultivates the Tao of Despair. Since he's ranked gold, I wonder if I can do the same. Kill! Yifei was stern. He suddenly erupted with all his power. His 9 domains, all condensed into a terrifying streak of light that slashed towards the martial soul steel. Boom! The strike caused the entire city to tremble gently. The martial god restrictions on the martial soul steel flickered wildly, as if they were about to be destroyed by Yifei's strike. However, that was still not enough for Yifei to leave his name on the martial soul steel. Yifei was furious. Suddenly, he used the power of despair for the 7th time. Immediately, terrifying flames of despair completely engulfed the martial soul steel with him at the center. Zhou Qiang, who stood in the distance, only saw resplendent purple-gold flames ignite the entire martial soul steel. Chapter 1750. Boom! Finally, before Zhou Qiang fainted, the golden light leaped again, even crushing the names of the few remaining human earthly venerables. It rushed in front of them, truly dominating the group of heroes, as if it was the only one in the world. This result gave Yi Fei a fright. However, after giving some thought, he found it reasonable. After all, he was walking the path of despair, the strongest path to becoming a martial god. He had even merged with the despair force 7 times. It could be said that his potential was shocking. However, potential is one thing. Whether he can become a martial god or a sovereign in the future is another. For example, the divine Emperor True Martial was ranked golden as well, but didn't he still get assassinated by Black Prison in the end? He had no choice but to die with a grievance. As a result, even though Yi Fei had surpassed everyone in terms of potential, Yi Fei was still very cautious. After all, there were far too many geniuses with great talent that had fallen along the way. Not to mention, he was walking the path of despair. It was a path of death where he could only advance forward. My potential might be shocking, but if I can't walk the path of despair, I'll still die. Also, my ranking is too high. It'll attract too much attention. As the saying went, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. His original intention was only to leave his name on the wind cloud ranking and tell Zhao Yu and Lu Qing about him. He did not want to attract too much attention. The stronger a genius is, the easier it is for them to be killed by others. I wonder if this martial spirit tablet can change its name like the one in the martial god space. Yi Fei's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, before the golden streak of light had appeared, he extended his hand and pointed at it. The golden light on the martial spirit tablet immediately changed as well. The name showed signs of changing. Yi Fei immediately rejoiced inside. He immediately erased his name and wrote the 2 words Demon Saint in golden strokes. Demon Saint is my title. Everyone on the martial heaven continent knows about it. As long as Lu Qing and Zhao Yu see this name, they'll know that I've come to the human battlefield. Boom! When Yi Fei engraved the words Demon Saint on the martial spirit tablet, the 2 words immediately shone with intense golden light. In the end, they completely separated from the martial spirit tablet like 2 stars. They illuminated the entire city like 2 golden suns. The disturbance was so great that it even frightened the unconscious Zhou Qiang. He had regained consciousness. Oh my God! First place in the imperial examination. Young Master Ye's name is actually... Before he could finish his sentence, Zhou Qiang fainted again. Yi Fei was also shocked on the spot. Then, taking advantage of the fact that there was no one around, he quickly grabbed Zhou Qiang and teleported away. The 2 words that were as dazzling as stars in the sky immediately shook up the entire city. From the city lord to the regular cultivators, they all charged towards the martial soul tablet with lightning speed. Who caused such a great disturbance in the martial soul tablet in the middle of the night? Oh my God, who is this demon saint? Not only did he get first place in the imperial examination, but he even surpassed all the Earth Exalts and took first place in the golden ranking. Fantastic! After all these years, another heaven-defying monster has finally appeared among us humans. Who is this demon saint? Which continent did he come from? Did he join the human race divine palace? Investigate, we must find out. In the end, even the city lord of the trial city was trembling with excitement. His eyes quickly scanned everyone present, as if he was trying to find out if the devil saint had appeared in his trial city. However, he did not find any trace of the devil saint. Instead, he found that the devil saint was hiding in the crowd. The lively Yi Fei and Zhou Qiang. An undetectable sliver of coldness and anger flashed through the city lord's eyes. However, before the city lord could find an excuse to make things difficult for Yi Fei. Boom! After Yi Fei left his name on the martial soul tablet, the entire martial soul tablet suddenly flashed again, startling everyone present. Which continent was he from? Instead of cultivating or sleeping in the middle of the night, he liked to test himself on the martial soul tablet when no one was around. Afterwards, Yi Fei saw a faint golden name. It moved like a comet, surpassing countless human geniuses and entering the golden ranking in the end. Heavens, it's another golden ranking. Two heaven-defying monsters have appeared on the ranking overnight. White-clothed war god. It's another title. There's no name. What's his relationship with the demon saint? Do they both like to be mysterious? Many of the spectating cultivators were puzzled. After all, being able to leave one's name on the ranking was an extremely glorious thing. For example, Marquis Bai had made it to the silver ranking. The Tiger clan had spread the news as if they were afraid that others would not know that an invincible genius had appeared in their clan. However, Yi Fei and Di Fan were different. They came from the martial heaven continent, a continent that had completely declined. They did not have a martial god behind them, and even martial emperors were rare. At this time, it was unwise to show off. It looks like Di Fan is the same as me. He knows the principle of keeping a low profile. It's a pity that the summoning order is random. Di Fan is not in this city of trials. Boom! Just as Yi Fei was thinking about this, the entire martial soul tablet trembled for the third time. However, the trembling this time was not as obvious as the previous two times. However, the disturbance it caused an uproar among the spectating cultivators. Heavens, what's going on today? It's one thing for two golden rankings to appear, but now there's another silver ranking. Who's the Army of Destruction? Is it another title? Or are the Demon Saint, the white-clothed war god, and the Army of Destruction all come from the same continent? Nonsense. It's already heaven-defying for a single peerless genius to appear on a single continent. How can so many peerless geniuses appear consecutively? Immediately, a cultivator began to refute. Seeing the Army of Destruction come to the human battlefield as well, Yi Fei was slightly surprised as well. Afterwards, he secretly rejoiced inside. It looks like Di Fan and the Army of Destruction have all made breakthroughs while I was cultivating in the Six-Path Sacred Sect. That's why they're confident enough to come to the human battlefield. We can still fight side by side against the Magi in the future. After waiting in the crowd for a while longer and discovering that the martial soul tablet had stopped moving, Yi Fei turned around and left. Zhou Qiang followed behind Yi Fei in fear. He was so frightened that he did not even dare to breathe too loudly. The city lord looked away from the crowd and sighed gently. It looks like the three geniuses that have appeared this time don't come from my city of trials. What a pity. City lord, although our city of trials doesn't have a golden ranking genius, we have a genius like Marquis Bai who's willing to join us. This is a great achievement for Sir City Lord. An old man beside the city lord flattered. He had a pair of black wings on his back. Chapter 1751. The city lord was not an idiot when he heard the elder suddenly mention Lord Bai. He understood what the elder was implying very soon. Elder, you want me to support Lord Bai with all my strength? This brat has talent, but he is too arrogant. Don't think that I don't know that he has always looked down on our human race. Last time, the incident at the temple was also caused by him. The trial city lord said with a cold gaze. Sensing that the city lord was displeased with Lord Bai, the elder immediately bowed and apologized. City lord, Lord Bai is a little arrogant, but he's still young. There's still time for him to change. Moreover, Lord Bai is already an elite nurtured by the Empyrean God Hall. City lord, you come from the Empyrean God Hall as well. I believe that you're displeased with Lord Bai, so you should support him with all your strength. The light in the city lord's eyes flickered. After weighing the pros and cons, he nodded coldly in the end. Speak. What does Lord Bai want to do now? As long as it's not too big of a matter, I can cooperate. After testing the martial soul tablet, Yi Fei returned to Zhou Chang's residence and directly entered seclusion, preparing for the upcoming trial battle. This was something that every cultivator who accepted the summons had to go through. Only cultivators who successfully passed the trial battle had the right to enter the true battlefield of humans and take part in the war against the Magi. Young Master Yi, there's still around 3 years until the next trial battle. If you need anything during this time, feel free to tell me. I'll definitely get it done for you. Ever since he discovered that Yi Fei had made it to the top of the imperial rankings and had even crushed everyone else, Zhou Chang's attitude changed drastically. Not only did he no longer fear Yi Fei, but he even voluntarily went from Brother Zhou to Little Brother Zhou. He had made up his mind to cling onto Yi Fei's leg and not let go. Yi Fei did not reject Zhou Chang's attempt to get close to him. Firstly, he did need a quiet place to cultivate for 3 years. Secondly, he needed Zhou Chang's identity as a local tyrant to help him find information about Zhao Yu and Lu Qing. Therefore, after instructing Zhou Qiang to exchange for a large pile of spirit stones, enough to feed Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle for 10 years, Yi Fei directly entered the spirit pagoda and began a long period of seclusion. He did not aim to break through to the martial emperor realm during this closed-door cultivation. He only hoped to master a few more immemorial heavenly techniques. It was worth mentioning that Yi Fei had finally mastered the Heavenly Venerate technique, the 8-level Heavenly Dragon, after successfully condensing the Swamp Realm. However, Yi Fei had only mastered the first move of the Octopole Celestial Dragon. Currently, he could only control 4 primordial celestial arts. Even so, when Yi Fei used 3 years to cultivate the dragon suppressing the 9 heavens and the holy ice art, the power of his 8 extreme heavenly dragon also increased. It had risen to an inconceivable level. Now, even without the assistance of the limitless sword, I can still fight against a martial emperor. With the limitless sword, even if I face a fully recovered limitless sword deity, I have the confidence to defeat him. Yi Fei was very excited. However, when he saw that the spirit pagoda had been completely depleted of spirit energy, Yi Fei felt depressed. Although he still had more than 500 spirit veins in the spirit pagoda, he did not directly refine the spirit veins. He only absorbed the spirit energy naturally emitted by the spirit veins. Even the spirit energy gathered by 1,000 spirit veins was not enough for Yi Fei to absorb, let alone 500 spirit veins. Yi Fei walked the path of despair. This was a path of death and a path that burned money. He had spent 1,000 spirit veins to integrate the power of despair 7 times. To integrate the power of despair 8 times, Yi Fei might not be able to gather 10,000 spirit veins, even if he sold everything he had. Moreover, he had 2 big spenders on spirit stones by his side. By the way, I have been in seclusion for 3 years. I wonder how Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle are doing. When Yi Fei entered the spirit pagoda, he had placed Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle in the room. In any case, he had set up a restriction around the area. Even if Zhou Qiang had 10 times the courage, he would not dare to walk in and see what was going on in the courtyard. Therefore, the first thing Yi Fei did after he finished cultivating was to go out and see how the dragon turtle and Xiao Qiao were doing. In the end, when Yi Fei went out, he was shocked. Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle had eaten until their bellies were round and they were lying on the ground, basking in the sun. Xiao Qiao burped from time to time and rubbed his bloated belly. He had a very distressed look on his face. The dragon turtle was propped up on the ground and could not even crawl anymore. It was so fat that it looked like a black charcoal ball. Yi Fei almost did not recognize that it was actually a turtle. Yi Fei's face was instantly filled with grief. He walked over and kicked the dragon turtle away like a rubber ball. Big Black, it's fine if you were greedy, but you even brought Xiao Qiao along with you. Those are 10 years' worth of spirit stones. In the end, you finished them all in 3 years. Xiao Qiao expressed her confusion. Then, she angrily told Yi Fei that it was the dragon turtle who told her that these spirit stones had to be finished in 3 years. If she did not finish them, Yi Fei would not give her any more spirit stones to eat. Therefore, Xiao Qiao ate very hard. It was also very difficult for her. Finally, within 3 years, she managed to accumulate a mountain of spirit stones. It was very difficult for her to finish them all. As she spoke, Xiao Qiao could not help but let out a very loud burp. The dragon turtle knew that it was in trouble. It quickly found a metal chain and wanted to retract its bloated belly. Unfortunately, the dragon turtle was too bloated this time and could not even tie the metal chain. With a bang, the fat on the dragon turtle's belly broke the metal chain. Then, the The fat on the dragon turtle's belly fell to the ground with a loud bang. This time, even Xiao Chao could not bear to watch anymore. She quickly covered her eyes with her hands. Yi Fei's face was as black as iron. However, he quickly smiled again. He gently patted the dragon turtle's head and comforted it. Big Black, if you can't continue pretending, then don't pretend anymore. It's almost the new year anyway. Don't feel burdened. You must eat and sleep more. The fatter you are, the better it will be for the new year. Roar? The dragon turtle's face was full of surprise. It did not understand what Yi Fei meant. It was Xiao Chao who reacted and secretly told the dragon turtle that it would be easier to slaughter it for the new year. The dragon turtle was so frightened that its face turned ashen. It did not need anyone to urge it. It was already doing its best and rolling on the ground to train. This scene scared Zhou Qiang so much that he almost fainted again. It was only when he saw that it was not a black ball of charcoal rolling on the ground, but a dragon turtle, that Zhou Qiang came back to his senses. Then, he quickly said, "Young Master Yi, the trial battle has already begun. I came in to inform you. I didn't mean to see you." Obviously, Zhou Qiang also knew that Xiao Chao and the dragon turtle were secrets that Yi Fei did not want others to know. Zhou Qiang's face immediately turned pale with fright when he accidentally saw them. Yi Fei was also very depressed. Only now did he realize that the sound of him kicking the dragon turtle was a little loud. It actually alarmed Zhou Qiang, who was outside. "Now that you have discovered my secret, I will leave you with a choice. Make a soul oath. It just so happens that I am lacking a follower." What? A soul oath? Zhou Qiang was in a difficult position. Once he made a soul oath, it would be impossible for him to rebel in the future. Chapter 1752. The trial battle was the most important test in the entire trial city. Only by passing the test would the warriors who had been summoned gain the qualifications to enter the human tribe's battlefield. At the same time, the content of the trial battle was different in different trial cities. Thus, on the way to the trial battle, Zhou Qiang began to explain the specific content of the trial battle to Yi Fei. "Young Master Yi, the trial battle here is actually very simple. It is to break through the array. As long as we can last for 10 days in the array, we will pass the test and gain the qualifications to enter the human tribe's impregnable pass." That means that the trial battle here is actually an array formation test. That's right. What kind of array formation is inside? Yi Fei asked curiously. As if recalling something, Zhou Qiang said with some trepidation, "It's the battle spirit array. Once the trial battle begins, these arrays will automatically condense a special battle spirit. As long as we can last for 10 days under the attack of the battle spirit and not die, we will pass the test." "What if I kill the battle spirit?" Yi Fei continued to ask. "Then not only will you pass the test, but you will also be able to cross over to other battle spirit arrays and kill more battle spirits. Once you obtain more battle spirits, you will also gain the opportunity to enter the battle spirit space." Zhou Qiang looked at Yi Fei with some envy. However, it is not that easy to cross over to kill battle spirits. Every time you cross over to an array formation, you will be attacked by the array formation. The more arrays you cross over, the stronger the attack will be. Furthermore, you cannot guarantee that the battle spirit inside the array formation you cross over to has not been killed by others. In short, unless you are a heaven-defying monster like you, even a peerless genius would not dare to cross over to battle. Zhou Qiang's explanation was very detailed. Not only did he explain the pros and cons of crossing over to Yi Fei, he also explained the battle spirit space. It turned out that the battle spirit space was the remnant souls of martial gods after they died in battle. These souls were extremely dangerous and did not have any consciousness. However, these battle spirits also had a huge advantage. That was that each battle spirit contained the remnant laws of the martial god when they were alive. As long as one could defeat the battle spirit and refine the remnant laws within, the cultivator would have a great chance of breaking through to the martial emperor realm. From this point, it could be said that the City of Trials actually encouraged ancient martial art practitioners to fight across arrays and kill more fighting spirits. Thus, he would be qualified to enter the fighting soul space. Yifei even suspected that the main purpose of the trial battles was to screen out those powerful martial artists who could fight across arrays. Of course, this was just Yifei's conjecture. He didn't have time to verify it. Just as he was chatting with Zhou Qiang, an incomparably huge teleportation array appeared in the sky above the trial city, directly enveloping all the cultivators present. At this time, the Trial City Lord was standing beneath the massive transmission array like a high and mighty emperor, overlooking the numerous martial artists. When he saw Yifei, the Trial City Lord's eyes flashed imperceptibly. Then, when he saw Zhou Qiang, the Trial City Lord revealed a meaningful sneer. "Everyone, it's time for the once-in-a-decade trial battle. This city lord won't say anything unnecessary. Life and death are up to fate. Riches and honor are up to the heavens. Whether or not you can come out of the trial battle alive, break through to Martial Emperor and Martial God, and fight for the human race in the future, that will depend on your own abilities. Now, the trial battle has officially begun." Boom! The heavens and earth shook as the array opened, forming a special door. With his experience in the array faction, Yifei knew that these were array doors. Once a martial artist entered the array door, they would be transported to a killing array with fighting spirits. As for whether or not they could withstand it, that would depend on the martial artist's own abilities. "Young Master Yi, save me. I've offended the city lord too much. In this trial battle, it will definitely make things difficult for me." Zhou Qiang didn't have any abilities, but he was very observant. Even though they were tens of thousands of meters apart, Zhou Qiang still caught a glimpse of the sneer on the city lord's face. Zhou Qiang suddenly had the urge to wet his pants. Yifei was speechless as he looked at Zhou Qiang. "I'm here. What are you afraid of? At most, you can enter the same array door as me. I'll guarantee that you'll pass." Zhou Qiang had been waiting for Yifei to say this. He immediately hugged Yifei's arm and refused to let go. "Master, you said it yourself. From now on, I'll follow you. If you dare to touch me again, I swear that even if the city lord doesn't kill you, I'll kill you." Yifei's face darkened, and he felt a chill run down his spine. If it weren't for the fact that this wasn't the right place, he would have had the urge to drag Zhou Qiang out and beat him to death. However, Zhou Qiang's words reminded Yifei that he had offended the city lord and Lord Bai. He had to be careful in this trial battle. Yifei wasn't in a hurry to choose an array door. Instead, he suddenly looked at the small number of foreign tribes in the crowd. Among them, he saw Lord Bai. Lord Bai was still arrogant. When he felt Yifei's gaze, he didn't hide the murderous intent in his eyes. However, Lord Bai didn't look for trouble with Yifei. He also didn't choose the same array door as Yifei. Instead, he chose a random array door and walked in. Most of the foreign tribes did the same. After all, they were participating in the trial battle, and they were just going through the motions. Secretly, these foreign tribes all had a protective amulet on them that could protect them from the attacks of the fighting souls. They could pass the test easily. This was the unspoken rule of the trial battle. Of course, the preferential treatment was one thing. If these foreign tribes wanted to enter the fighting soul space, they would still have to fight across arrays and kill more fighting souls. In this way, their protective amulets would lose their effectiveness. City Lord, Lord Bai is ready. This time, whether or not Lord Bai can defeat the other heroes and obtain 10 fighting souls and become the #1 person in the Tiger tribe, we will need your help. Seeing that most of the warriors on the square had already entered the array door, an elder of the Tiger tribe came to the front of the Trial City Master and quietly presented him with a pearl. That pearl was the earthly spirit pearl, which could allow one to transform into a half-step demon. Not long ago, the Tiger tribe had brought this pearl to 2 trial cities, hoping that they would take care of Lord Bai so that he could complete the glorious feat of crossing 10 ranks. It would also be easier for him to capture the real martial god fighting soul in the fighting soul space. However, it was a pity that the 2 city lords had rejected them. In the end, the Tiger tribe had found the trial battle city lord through their relationship with the Wings tribe. They had also successfully persuaded the trial battle city lured to give Lord by some pointers for a few days. This earthly spiritual pearl was obviously a token of appreciation for the city Lord's pointers. Seeing that there was no one around, the trial battle city Lord accepted it with a smile. Ha ha, well said. Lorbai, this child is still talented. In fact, with his strength, crossing 10 ranks is not too big of a problem. Ha, this is also because of the city lord's pointers. That's right, city lord. I heard that not long ago in the temple, there were two people, especially one called Zhou Qiang, who not only ignored our tiger tribe, but also went against the city lord in front of everyone. That matter has seriously affected our tiger tribe and your prestige. Name. Chapter 1753. After passing through the array door, a huge space appeared in front of Yifei. There were mountains, rivers, and plants nearby. If he had not known beforehand, no one would have believed that such a peaceful environment was actually a terrifying killing array. Furthermore, there were a total of 10 of these killing arrays. They were separated from each other by restrictions. Once a warrior wanted to cross the array, these restrictions would be activated, creating a huge restriction pressure on the warrior. The more arrays a warrior crossed, the greater the pressure would be. Therefore, most warriors would not choose to cross the arrays easily. They would only target the fighting souls that were about to appear in their respective arrays. After all, even if one did not cross the array, killing the fighting souls was still considered a reward. Before Yifei and Zhou Qiang entered, this killing array had already been occupied by a small faction among the warriors. Brothers and sisters, the fighting soul of this killing array will be taken by the heavenly demon continent. Please give us some face. As long as you stay at the back, we will guarantee that you will pass today's test. What surprised Yifei was that the people who wanted the fighting soul of this killing array were actually warriors from the heavenly demon continent. There were both old and young people among them. However, their auras were all very strong. The weakest one had 3 heaven-level domains. The middle-aged warrior who spoke had 5 heaven-level domains. Such a domain was something that only half evildoers could achieve. Yifei could not help but think highly of this person. I did not expect to meet warriors from the heavenly demon continent. I wonder if Master, the Demon Emperor, has not left after returning to the heavenly demon continent, or has he also come to the human battlefield? Yifei shook his head. Just as many warriors were retreating, only he continued to lead Zhou Qiang towards the core of the array. The group of heavenly demon continent warriors immediately noticed Yifei. It's Zhou Qiang? On account of Zhou Jingyi's title, we will not make things difficult for you. You should also retreat quickly. Otherwise, if you provoke us, we will kill you no matter how righteous you are. A few heavenly demon continent warriors had already released an extremely strong killing intent. Hearing Zhou Jingyi's name, Zhou Qiang was also disgusted. He immediately said with a black face, I think it's you who should retreat. If you don't want to die, get out of the way immediately. My lord wants the fighting soul of this killing array. Zhou Qiang pointed at Yifei. Many warriors from the heavenly devil continent looked at Yifei in surprise. Do you want to challenge the fighting souls here by yourself? That's right, I'm alone. For the sake of my master, I don't want to attack you. Please leave. Yifei's words were very polite. Even though the other side had the advantage in numbers, at his level of strength, numbers were not of much use. Yifei was also speaking the truth. However, when these words fell into the ears of those who did not know his strength, they sounded as arrogant as they could be. The middle-aged man, who was the leader of the heavenly devil continent, suddenly burst out with a furious look. He said sternly, shameless boasting. You haven't even grown out your hair, and you dare to be arrogant in front of me? I think you're courting death. 5 realms fall. As he spoke, he had already made a move to kill. He actually intended to kill Yifei directly to establish his dominance. Yifei's face suddenly changed. 5 realms fall? What's your relationship with the Demon Crown Prince? The Demon Crown Prince is my nephew. Since you know the Demon Crown Prince, you still dare to go against me. Kneel down and accept your death. Roar. Before the man could finish speaking, just as he was about to make a move, A human and beast shadow that was shining with golden light suddenly jumped out of the void. This was the special fighting soul condensed by the killing array. When the fighting soul appeared, it rushed directly toward the warriors from the heavenly devil continent who were closest to it. The person who made the first move became the fighting soul's first target. Everyone only saw a golden beast shadow rushing toward the other party. The other party's entire body, along with the 5 realms fall, exploded. Oh my God, how is this possible? The fighting soul of this killing array is actually at the martial emperor level. Zhou Qiang cried out in fear. Not only Zhou Qiang, but most of the warriors who felt the aura of the fighting soul also cried out in fear. The warriors from the heavenly devil continent who had originally blocked the front and planned to join forces to hunt down the fighting soul were now crying for their parents and fleeing in all directions. No one had the courage to face this fighting soul. It was a martial emperor fighting soul. Yifei even saw that there were 2 timid female warriors who were so scared that they couldn't help but cry. Martial emperor fighting soul. How can it be a martial emperor fighting soul? This is not a test at all. This is clearly sending us to our deaths. Help! I beg you, please save me. In the sky, there were panic cries for help from the warriors from the heavenly devil continent who were fleeing for their lives. Unfortunately, in the face of a martial emperor-level fighting soul, most of them were already scared out of their wits. They desperately ran toward the array door, hoping to avoid being hunted down by the martial emperor fighting soul. Yifei also quickly understood what had happened from the chaos. Zhou Qiang, did martial emperor fighting souls appear in the previous trial battles as well? No. In the past trial battles, at most, half-step demon-level quasi-emperor fighting souls appear. It is impossible for a martial emperor fighting soul to appear. I know, this is a conspiracy. The city lord is deliberately framing us. Zhou Qiang was not a fool. He quickly realized what had happened. Yifei also nodded with an ugly expression. Only now did he understand the meaning of the sneer that flashed across the trial city before he entered. It was obvious that the fighting soul of the killing array would not suddenly increase in rank, unless someone had deliberately raised the fighting soul of the killing array from a quasi-emperor to a martial emperor. Young Master Yi, what should we do? Zhou Qiang was so frightened that he had the urge to hug Yifei again. Scram to the back and watch the show. Yifei's face darkened. Without waiting for Zhou Qiang to make a move, he kicked Zhou Qiang into the distance. His action had successfully saved Zhou Qiang's life. This was because, while he was talking to Zhou Qiang, the martial emperor fighting soul had already killed all the warriors from the heavenly devil continent in front of them. At the same time, a terrifying black aura that was as black as a demon covered the sky and the sun. It was already heading toward Yifei to devour him. Seeing this, Yifei's expression turned grave. He then took a deep breath. Before the fighting soul could devour him, the 9 great heaven-level domains in his body had already exploded. Finally, they formed a whistling domain divine sword that shattered the void and tore the heavens and the earth apart. It also tore the fighting soul apart. Roar. Chapter 1754. Boom, boom. Suddenly, there was an explosion of dazzling sword radiance. The sword radiance was like a whistling nebula that filled the entire sky and shrouded the entire killing array. At that moment, many martial artists were already hiding at the entrance of the array. They huddled together and were ready to risk their lives to protect themselves. Then, they saw an unforgettable scene. There is actually someone who is able to suppress a martial emperor fighting soul as an emperor-to-be. Oh my God, I must be dreaming. What do you mean by dreaming? Open your eyes and look carefully. This is not a dream. It is real. This is great. To be able to suppress a martial emperor fighting soul, this person must be a legendary demon. Oh my God, which continent is he from? Why have we not heard of him before? I know him. His name is Yifei. Oh yes, I remember now. He is the ferocious man who almost fought with Lord Bai at the temple 3 years ago. Boom! Before the martial artists could finish their discussion, the entire sky suddenly shook violently. Everyone lifted their heads to look at the sky and revealed a look of shock and disbelief. Oh my God, this Ife is too ferocious. He actually destroyed the martial emperor fighting soul. It is not just the fighting soul. Even the killing array could not withstand his sword radiance. Look, he seems to want to cross the array. What? Cross the array? If one was not an absolute genius, who would dare to cross the array? However, this scene had happened before everyone's eyes. After using the infinite sword to destroy the fighting soul, Yi Fei had half a black token in his hand. He knew that this was the fighting soul token to enter the fighting soul space. As long as he could gather a complete token, he would have the opportunity to enter the fighting soul space and use the martial god fighting soul to break through to the martial emperor realm. However, a killing array would at most give him half a fighting soul token. If he wanted to obtain the complete fighting soul token, he would have to cross the array. Yi Fei did not hesitate. The moment he kept the fighting soul token, he slashed out with his sword and smashed the void. He directly broke through the killing array and entered a wider space. In this space, Yi Fei saw 10 different doors. These doors were the entrances to other formations. Once he entered them, he would be able to enter another formation and continue to slay battle spirits to acquire the battle spirit badge. However, it was not that easy to enter these formation doors. These 9 formation doors were all set up with very powerful martial god restrictions. As long as one barged in, they would be suppressed by the restrictions. Which array gate should I choose? It would be great if I could choose the area where Lord Bai is. Unfortunately, these array gates can not only block divine thoughts, but also block Xiao Chao's ability to sense spiritual energy. As for whether I can meet Lord Bai or not, it will depend on my luck. Yi Fei shook his head and suddenly rushed towards the nearest formation door. Boom! After discovering that someone was crossing the formation, an extremely horrifying martial deity might suddenly burst out from the formation. It was like a mountain pressing down on Yi Fei. Battle Demon Sect, hold on. Open the formation door. Yi Fei shouted. Suddenly, his body flashed with a golden light. At the same time, he lifted the infinite sword and slammed it forward. Immediately, a huge hole was created in the formation door. When Yi Fei passed through the hole, he had already arrived at a world that was as hot as a desert. Countless warriors were sitting cross-legged in the desert, peacefully cultivating. There were no conflicts, nor were there any battles with the fighting spirits. However, when they felt the fluctuations in the sky, many of them subconsciously lifted their heads and shouted in shock. It can't be. Besides Lord Bai, there is actually someone else who can cross the formation? What Lord Bai? Damn, I'm too late. The fighting spirits here have already been killed by Lord Bai. Yi Fei said gloomily. The trial city was not small, but it was not big either. Since he could cross the formation, others could definitely do so as well. However, Yi Fei felt that he was unlucky. The killing formation that he had entered was one that others had already crossed. Yi Fei immediately felt a certain amount of pressure in his heart. After all, there were only 10 killing formations here. As long as there were 5 people who had the strength to cross the formation and had killed 2 battle spirits before him, he would not have the chance to collect the tokens needed to enter the battle spirit space. Thinking of this, Yi Fei did not have time to talk to these martial artists. He just rushed forward as fast as he could. He broke through the barrier and charged towards another killing formation. Seeing that Yi Fei was going to continue crossing the formation, the martial artists who were cultivating in the desert were all in an uproar. He actually wants to cross the formation? If this person is not crazy, then he must have absolute confidence in his own strength. Such a genius should not be a nobody. Who is he? I know him. His name is Yi Fei. He seems to be Zhou Zhengyi's little brother. What Zhou Zhengyi? That Zhou Qiang who pissed his pants in fright and dared to publicly accuse the city lord of being muddle-headed and incompetent? That's strange. Didn't Zhou Qiang specialize in deceiving newcomers? When did he have such guts? And he even took in such a terrifying little brother? Some of the martial artists who had been deceived by Zhou Qiang were very surprised. Many of them were eager to try and follow him to see what was going on. However, when they saw the newly formed barrier on the array door and the terrifying aura of a martial god emanating from within the barrier, everyone chose to retreat. After all, they only needed to cultivate here for 10 days to pass the test. There was no need to take the risk of crossing the formation and risking their lives to fight for the 2 tokens. At this time, those who dared to cross the formation consecutively were true experts. For example, Yifei had already crossed 5 killing formations consecutively. As he had crossed the formations consecutively, the aura of a martial god on his body had reached a terrifying level of 50 times. When Yifei crossed the 6th killing formation and entered the array door, the terrifying aura that wrapped around his body crushed the void that he was standing in. However, what made Yifei extremely depressed was that the fighting spirits of the killing formation were still killed by someone. What made Yifei even more furious was that the person who had killed the fighting spirits was the same person, Lord Bai. That's strange. Doesn't one need a fighting spirit order to enter the fighting spirit space? Looking at Lord Bai, it seems like he wants to take all the fighting spirit orders. There must be a reason behind this. The more he thought about it, the more depressed Yifei became. He knew that if this continued, he would fall behind and all the tokens would be taken by Lord Bai alone. Young Master Yi, if you want to catch up with Lord Bai, why don't you head to the furthest killing formation? You might be able to stop him in advance. At this time, a senior heaven-grade quasi-emperor suddenly sent a voice transmission to Yifei secretly. As the pressure around Yifei was too terrifying, the senior martial artist's voice transmission was somewhat intermittent. However, his words reminded Yifei that if he followed Lord Bai step by step, he would only fall behind. Rather than that, he might as well head to the furthest killing formation and try his luck. Perhaps he might be able to beat Lord Bai. Senior, thank you, Yifei said gratefully. Chapter 1755. The killing array of the trial battle had a different environment. When Yifei first entered the killing array, it was a desert. Soon it became hills, seas, and mountains. However, when Yifei rushed into the furthest killing array, he found that it was actually a closed circular valley. Countless martial artists were fighting around the valley. In the middle of the valley, there was a killing array. In the middle of the valley, there was a killing array fighting soul with the head of a bull and the body of a human. It raised its head and roared, trampling all the martial artists who came close to it. This fighting soul was not a martial emperor fighting soul. It was only an emperor-to-be fighting soul. This was also the reason why Lord Bai could quickly cross the array and kill the fighting soul. However, Lord Bai's luck was not very good. By the time he arrived at the killing array, there were already people who had joined forces to beat up the war spirit. If he had arrived a little later, the war spirit might have been given to someone else. This made Lord Bai extremely angry. He immediately rushed into the battle. However, he did not attack the fighting soul, but the martial artists who were besieging the fighting soul. Oh no, it's Lord Bai. How many arrays has he crossed? How can the pressure on his body be so terrifying? Boom. Lord Bai did not need to use his martial arts skills. Just the huge pressure from his array had caused the surrounding martial artists to turn pale. One of the unlucky martial artists was directly crushed by the pressure and was seriously injured. The unluckier one was trampled to death by the fighting soul with the head of a bull. His companions were so angry that their eyes turned red. Lord Bai, you have gone too far. Not only did you steal our fighting souls, you also killed our companions. Haha, you have gone too far. A group of human tribe trash. You are not as skilled as others. You deserve to die. I will give you 3 breaths to get out of my way. All the fighting souls in this killing array belong to me. Lord Bai laughed wildly. In his eyes, killing a human tribe martial artist was as easy as walking. It was no different from trampling an ant on the ground. Lord Bai's words enraged all the warriors present. After all, this was the battlefield of the human tribe. Even if the foreign tribes were strong, the human tribe warriors still made up the majority. When they saw that Marquis Bai had killed someone, not only did he not apologize, but also insulted him, several young warriors were thoroughly enraged. They were not convinced and immediately rushed forward, wanting to join forces to attack Marquis Bai. Marquis Bai suddenly sneered. Without saying anything, he had already let out a tiger roar, shaking all directions. Along with this roar, the few martialists who had attacked all had their throats crushed by the divine tiger's claw. They couldn't help but widen their eyes as they died an unnatural death. Do you see this? This is the consequence of going against me. Lord Bai, how dare a bunch of trash from the human race try to attack me? What a joke. Lord Bai retracted his blood-stained tiger claws. Without looking at the corpses on the ground, he was about to kill the struggling, bull-headed fighting soul. At this moment, Yifei also crossed the array and saw this scene. It's just a fight for the fighting souls, but Lord Bai killed so many people. Oh no, I can't let Lord Bai kill that fighting soul. Otherwise, I won't have the chance to enter the fighting soul space. Kill. The ultimate sword. Without any time to think, Yifei activated the Great Void technique. Not only did he rush to the side of the fighting soul, but he also directly slashed the fighting soul into pieces. Compared to a martial emperor fighting soul, Yifei could kill a quasi-emperor fighting soul with a single slash. He didn't give Lord Bai any chance to intervene. It's you, damn it, I didn't look for you. How dare you cross the array and fight with me for the fighting soul token? Lord Bai was a step too late. He could only watch as Yifei killed the fighting soul and took away half of the fighting soul token. Lord Bai was so angry that 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes. He then roared and charged towards Yifei. Tiger roars in the forest. Damn human tribe trash. Who gave you the courage to steal my fighting soul? Roar. Lord Bai was furious. His anger turned into a terrifying divine tiger, like a ferocious tiger descending from the mountain. It smashed the void and caused an uproar among the martial artists present. Lord Bai has killed so many people. He even wants to kill a human tribe martial artist who can cross the array. The tiger tribe has gone too far. It's over. Lord Bai is going to kill him. That person shouldn't have come and shouldn't have crossed the array to come to our side. Many martial artists had already closed their eyes, unable to bear the sight of Yifei being torn apart. Roar. At this moment, a mighty and terrifying dragon roar suddenly resounded between heaven and earth. That dragon roar was like a divine sound from the beginning of the world. Not only did it overpower the roar of Lord Bai's divine tiger, it also formed a terrifying sound wave that shook heaven and earth. It even shattered the divine tiger that Lord Bai had formed. Boom! Divine tiger rips the wind. Lord Bai did not panic in the face of danger. The shattered divine tiger claw once again condensed, forming a mountain-sized divine tiger claw. It tore apart the sky and the earth at the same time. Endless wind pressure compressed the air in the valley, causing it to explode. It was unknown how many warriors vomited blood and were forced to retreat under this terrifying pressure. Obviously, Lord Bai did not care about the lives of others in this battle. As long as he could kill Yifei, he would use any means necessary. Azura, divine fist. Yifei's expression did not change, but the flames of despair on his body were like stars, like the sun, burning the entire sky and filling every corner of heaven and earth. Then he started to throw out a punch. He was like an invincible god of war, rushing towards the divine tiger. The terrifying fist radiance instantly shattered the sky and sunk the earth. It also caused the divine tiger that was rushing towards him to explode with a punch. In the middle of the explosion, Lord Bai's hair was disheveled. The arrogance in his eyes had disappeared, replaced by a deep sense of fear and dread. Then, boundless anger surged from Lord Bai's body. Damned human trash, how dare you hurt me? Don't you know that we, the Tiger Tribe, will always be superior to you? In front of us, you are all slaves, our livestock. Lord Bai's anger was like a rainbow. In the end, his entire body turned into a mighty divine tiger. On his forehead, a terrifying radiance of the word king appeared, bringing with it the power to destroy everything, shattering the surrounding heaven and earth. Bang! But in the midst of the shattering heaven and earth, Yifei's body was burning with the flames of despair. With just one punch, the heaven and earth were filled with dazzling fist radiance. Azura, divine fist, kill gods and destroy demons. You treat us humans as livestock, but in front of me you, the divine tiger, are just an ant. Die. Boom. Lord Bai's disdain and arrogance towards the human race had completely enraged Yi Fei. He did not hold back anymore. The dazzling fist radiance was already filled with the aura of death. Lord Bai's gigantic divine tiger body was torn apart like a rag. He tumbled in the air, leaving behind a trail of broken flesh and blood. Oh my God! Lord Bai was seriously injured by a single punch. Who was that person? Since when did such a brave person appear in our trial city? Chapter 1756. Sensing Yi Fei's undisguised murderous intent, Lord Bai could not help but tremble in fear, no matter how arrogant he was and how much he looked down on the human tribe. He wants to kill me. This lowly human dares to kill me? No, I can't die. I am the prince of the tiger tribe. My status is at least 10 times more noble than these lowly humans. Roar, you trash of the human tribe. You forced me to do this. You forced me to do this. Tiger God projection, please protect me. Just like the human tribe, the tiger tribe also had a temple to worship the martial god of the tiger tribe. However, the martial god projection was not allowed in the trial battle. This was because it would severely affect the fairness of the test, especially when a martial god projection could resist the martial god's might when the martial artists crossed the array. Hence, when they saw Lord Bai enter the killing array with a scroll containing the martial god projection, all the martial artists in the valley were in an uproar. Despicable. Lord Bai is cheating in public. We were wondering how Lord Bai could cross 9 arrays in a row, since he was only half a step away from being a godly talent. It turns out that he has the martial god projection on him. Oh no, since Lord Bai dares to release the martial god projection, he must be determined to kill us. All of us may be killed by him. Many of the martial artists' faces turned pale. After all, cheating the trial battle was an extremely disgraceful thing. Even if the other tribes were given preferential treatment in the trial battle, it would cause a huge uproar if word got out. The best way to deal with this was to kill the witnesses to cover up the truth. However, no one could stop him. Lord Bai took out the scroll too quickly. When he opened the scroll, the martial god seal that was originally imprinted on the scroll was instantly activated. Then, a tiger man divine spirit that exuded the martial god's might walked out of the scroll. Boom! When he walked out, the heavens and the earth came to a standstill. Only the boundless might of the martial god could suppress the heavens and the earth, as if a deity was walking in the world. Finally, the tiger god stared coldly at Yi Fei and said in surprise, "Abandoned by the heavens, you actually managed to break through to the martial emperor realm. You are at the emperor-to-be realm? What? He's abandoned by the gods? He's a piece of trash. Damn it. Lord Bai was almost defeated by a piece of trash." Lord Bai's face turned red, as if he had just been slapped in the face. He was so angry that his hair was on fire. "Tiger God, please kill him for me. I will turn his corpse into a puppet and make him kneel before me for all eternity." Lord Bai was furious. He had always looked down on the human race. If he was defeated by a human monster, he would accept it. But he was almost defeated by a martial arts trash. This was something that Lord Bai could not tolerate. When the tiger deity heard Lord Bai's words, he sneered and shook his head. "What a pity! Since you were able to break through to the quasi-emperor realm despite being abandoned by the heavens, you must not be an ordinary person. What pity! You shouldn't have offended the tiger clan and shouldn't have tried to kill Lord Bai. Are you done? If you're done, then you two bastards can die together." Yi Fei sneered. He did not say anything earlier, not because he was afraid of the tiger deity, but because he was quietly adjusting his condition. When he felt that his fighting condition had reached its peak, he did not say anything. Without further ado, Yi Fei made his move. 9 heaven-grade domains appeared around him. Soon, These domains merged into 9 terrifying domain swords that tore through the void and slashed forward. How dare you? Junior, I think you're courting death. Lord Bai and the tiger deity were shocked when they saw that Yi Fei dared to make the first move against the martial god. Then, they flew into a rage. The tiger deity did not have a good temper. As the tiger deity was enraged, a gigantic tiger claw appeared between the heavens and the earth, including the entire killing array. The tiger claw enveloped the entire area and clenched tightly, as if it wanted to crush the heavens and the earth. However, what shocked the tiger deity was that his tiger claw, which could crush the heavens and the earth, was unable to crush the 9 realm swords. Instead, the 9 realm sword were like 9 dazzling stars, whistling and blazing as they pierced through the void. At the same time, the tiger deity's tiger claw was also shattered. There were huge holes. How is this possible? 9 heavenly realms, you are. The tiger deity's gaze turned serious for the first time. Why is it impossible? We humans are best at making the impossible possible. You're just a projection of a beast. You are not even comparable to the blood essence clone of the limitless sword god. Who gave you the guts to look down on humans? Who gave you the guts to act so arrogantly in front of me? Tailed wolf, I think you are tired of living. Kill. Heaven-piercing sword Dao. Yi Fei's sword Qi soared into the 9 heavens. The terrifying sword Qi condensed into a frightening galaxy. Then, the galaxy changed again and formed a gigantic Tai Chi sword formation. It was capable of destroying the heavens and the earth. It was invincible. This was Yi Fei's sword formation. The sword formation was invincible. The sword formation was invincible and indestructible. Once the sword formation was unleashed, blood would splatter 10 steps away and flow like a river. When the tiger deity sensed the terror of Yi Fei's sword Qi, his tiger eyes suddenly emitted a shocking battle glow. What a peerless genius. What an impressive sword formation. It's a pity that you have not become a martial god yet. You will never know the terror of a martial god, even if this is just a projection of me. Kill. Boom. Boom. The heavens and the earth shattered once again. In the end, even the terrifying killing formation collapsed under the tiger deity's attack. All the martial artists in the valley were crushed into pieces by the killing formation. Clearly, the tiger deity was determined to kill Yi Fei after sensing his shocking talent, even if he had to destroy him. The entire killing formation wanted to kill Yi Fei. Seeing this, Yi Fei roared loudly. Then, his roar turned into a terrifying dragon's roar. The 8-level heavenly dragons exploded and formed 8 different divinatory diagrams. They were like 8 terrifying worlds that suppressed time and space, completely suppressing the heavens and the earth. The tiger deity's eyes were aghast as he watched 8 different realms crazily crush him. His martial god projection had already been shattered by these 8 realms. Roar! Don't let me see you at the human tribe's impregnable pass. Otherwise, the tiger deity's furious roar came from the end of the void. He felt helpless. His martial god projection was too weak. It was only equivalent to the martial emperor realm. Such a realm could allow him to crush a half-step demon, but against a peerless genius like Yi Fei and the terrifying 8-level heavenly dragons, even a martial god projection could only die on the spot. Oh my god, he actually destroyed the martial god projection. He is actually one of the legendary peerless geniuses. Suddenly, Lord Bai's heart was filled with deep regret and deep fear. He was so scared that his courage was about to be crushed. However, when he saw Yi Fei walking toward him like a purple gold god of war, Lord Bai was so scared that his voice trembled. He quickly smiled and said, "Brother Yi now. Young Master Yi, I'm the prince of the tiger tribe. As long as you don't kill me, we could discuss anything." Chapter 1757. When the sword god was enraged, blood splattered everywhere. When Yi Fei was enraged, blood flowed like rivers. Lord Bai only saw a dazzling sword radiance slashing through his body. Then, Lorbai did not know anything. All that was left was a huge tiger corpse kneeling in front of Yi Fei. Ding ding dang. Another 9 black tokens rolled out from the tiger corpse. These were the fighting spirit tokens that Lorbai had obtained by cheating with the martial god's projection. However, to enter the fighting spirit space, one only needed 2 fighting spirit tokens. Lorbai had not hesitated to cross the 9 arrays and snatch all the fighting spirit tokens. This made Yi Fei very puzzled. There must be a secret that I don't know. What a pity. If I had known, I would have asked first before killing Lorbai. He is just a tiger that has turned into a demon. How dare he defecate and pee on the heads of the human tribe? Does the tiger tribe think that there is no one in the human tribe? Yi Fei kept the 9 tokens and turned to leave. He did not even look at Lorbai's corpse. On the other hand, the dragon turtle was very curious about the dead tiger. It even wanted to sneak out of the beast mark space to taste the tiger's meat. Of course, in Xiao Chao's eyes, the dragon turtle was lazy and did not want to train. Hence, Xiao Chao quickly whipped the dragon turtle. The dragon turtle was foaming at the mouth. However, it immediately became very obedient and became a ball again. It held back its tears and allowed Xiao Chao to slap it. After that, the dragon turtle was even more determined to start losing weight during this period of time. Yi Fei once again crossed the formation and returned to the killing formation he was in. His appearance caused an uproar among the martial artists in the killing array, especially when Yi Fei crossed the array. The martial god's oppression on his body was close to 100 times stronger. It caused the entire killing array to shake violently. Many of the martial artists present trembled from the bottom of their souls. Oh my God! How many killing arrays did he cross to be able to produce such a terrifying martial god's oppression? Haha, this is great. Our trial city has finally produced an invincible genius who is on par with Lord Bai. On par with him? Yi Fei smiled faintly and did not pay much attention to the discussions of these people. He landed on the ground and sat down cross-legged. He then called Zhou Qiang over. Zhou Qiang, let me ask you, if I cross the 10 arrays and kill all the fighting souls, will there be any special rewards? What? Young Master Yi, if you kill all the fighting, then you will have 10 fighting spirit tokens. Although Zhou Qiang knew that Yi was strong, he did not expect Yi to be so strong. Zhou Qiang was shocked he had the urge. Yi, Zhou Qiang, S. Zhou Qiang, and Zhou Qiang and Yi Zhou. And Zhou Qiang was of the voice of Ed. Not only can you use it, but you can also give it to others. No wonder Lord Bai would rather cheat and collect all the fighting spirit tokens. The fighting spirit space contained the true martial god fighting spirits. Once one obtained them, there was a possibility of breaking through to the martial emperor realm. If the tiger tribe obtained all the fighting spirit tokens, then besides Lord Bai, there were 4 other experts from the tiger tribe who could enter the fighting spirit space to capture the fighting spirits and break through to the martial emperor realm. Opportunity. The tiger tribe has a good plan. However, they are secretly conniving with the trial city master of the tiger tribe. They really deserve to be punished. Yi Fei shook his head and did not say anything else. He quietly cultivated and waited for the trial battle to end. Time always passed very quickly during cultivation, and the 10-day deadline was soon up. Those martial artists who were still alive could not help but cheer. Even Zhou Qiang was the same. For these ordinary martial artists, as long as they could hold on for 10 days, they would be able to leave the trial city and obtain the qualifications to enter the human tribe battlefield. The other martial artists in the trial city were also cheering. Although these martial artists did not have the strength or courage to participate in the trial battle, this did not prevent them from sincerely cheering for the martial artists who had passed the trial battle. After all, the more experts who could enter the human tribe battlefield, the more they could resist the sorcerer tribe. The sorcerer tribe's attack. Long live the city master. Long live the tiger tribe. No one knew who took the lead, but before the martial artists in the trial battle came out, they began to cheer loudly. Not only did they praise the trial city master, but they also cheered for the tiger tribe and Lord Bai. A few elders from the tiger tribe were excited as they cupped their hands towards the trial city master and said, "City Master, this time it is all thanks to you. Otherwise, how could Lord Bai have obtained all the fighting spirit tokens so easily? Master, from now on, you are the most sincere friend of the Tiger Tribe." When Lord Bai and the experts of the Tiger Tribe enter the fighting spirit space and break through to the martial Emperor realm, the Tiger Tribe will prepare a generous gift to thank the City Master. An elder from the Tiger Tribe said, "Ha ha, you are too polite. I did not actually do anything. The key is that child, Lord Bai, is talented and has worked hard. It was not enough that he had obtained an earthly spirit pearl by luck. He had actually obtained an even more valuable gift." While the Trial City Master was being modest, his face bloomed like a chrysanthemum as he smiled happily. The elders from the Tiger Tribe were also smiling proudly. They had even specially laid out a red carpet outside the killing array that Lord Bai had entered. They were waiting for Lord Bai to walk out of the array door in a peerless manner. He would be able to dominate the world and trample the other martial artists like ants under his feet. However, what surprised the elders of the Tiger Tribe was that not a single martial artist walked out of the killing array that had been laid out with a red carpet. On the contrary, martial artists from the other array doors walked out in high spirits. Thanks to Lord Bai's continuous crossing of the array and killing of the fighting spirits, the martial artists who had participated in the trial battle this time around, except for the lucky ones. Most of the unlucky ones had managed to survive and pass the assessment smoothly. What is going on? Why did not a single martial artist come out of Lord Bai's array door? Instead, there are so many martial artists coming out of Zhou Jingyi's array door. The elders of the Tiger Tribe were shocked and felt that something was not right. There were even elders who could not wait to rush into the killing array to look for Lord Bai. Lord Bai's figure. Unfortunately, they did not find Lord Bai. They only found a huge corpse of a divine tiger. When the elders of the Tiger Tribe carried the corpse out with red eyes, the entire Trial City was in an uproar. "Oh my God, Lord Bai is dead. Not only Lord Bai, but all the martial artists in the killing array are dead. Strange, Lord Bai has been crossing the array door continuously and is very arrogant. Who could have killed him?" Swoosh! Tens of thousands of pairs of eyes looked at Yi Fei at the same time when they saw Lord Bai's corpse. After all, other than Lord Bai, only Yi Fei could cross the array door. The elders of the Tiger Tribe quickly followed the gazes and found Yi Fei. Their tiger eyes flashed with a terrifying light and ruthlessness. It's you who killed Lord Bai." "That's right, it's me." Yi Fei nodded. He could not deny it even if he wanted to. "Why?" Chapter 1758. Yi Fei took a step toward the sky and walked towards the Trial City Lord, shouting, "You still have the nerve to ask why? As the Trial City Lord, you don't fight for our human race, but instead act as a dog for the tiger race. You purposely adjusted the difficulty of the killing array to harm me. But what's even worse is that you actually allowed Lord Bai to cheat, tacitly allowing him to bring along martial arts. The martial god projection continuously crossed the array and snatched the fighting spirit tokens. Let me ask you, are you a human or a dog raised by the Tiger Tribe?" Boom! Yi Fei's words shook the hearts of the people and the entire trial governor. No one had expected that Yi Fei would dare to stand out and call the city governor a dog in the face of the rage of the city governor. He had even said the truth that many people did not dare to say. This truth was even more shocking and infuriating than Lord Bai's death. What? Lord Bai brought the martial god projection into the killing array? This is obviously cheating. Tiger Tribe, do you have any shame? I knew it. Lord Bai was just a half-step demon. How could he cross the array as easily as eating and drinking? Killing the fighting spirit of a half-step demon was as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. This bastard is cheating. Countless martial artists were enraged. No one doubted Yi Fei's words. In fact, there were too many victims around Yi Fei who had almost died in the killing array after the city governor had increased the difficulty. These people also roared angrily at this time. These angry roars made the faces of many elders of the Tiger Tribe turn ugly. The trial governor's face was ashen and he was inexplicably flustered. His original plan was to use the martial emperor fighting spirits to kill Yi Fei and Zhou Qiang. Then, he would allow Lord Bai to cheat and snatch all the fighting spirit tokens. This way, he would be able to take revenge on Yi Fei and befriend the Tiger Tribe. The only thing that the trial governor did not expect was that Yi Fei not only did not die, but also turned the tables and killed Lord Bai. In the end, in front of countless people, he exposed the fact that he had allowed Lord Bai to cheat. If this news were to spread to the human tribe, even though he was the trial governor, he had made great contributions on the battlefield, he would definitely be killed by the human tribe martial gods. Shut up. What a bunch of nonsense. This city lord has always been fair and selfless. For the sake of the human race, I have even risked my life. How can I allow a junior like you to humiliate this seat time and time again and ruin this seat's reputation? Vile spawn, this seat will punish you for your disrespect in front of everyone today. Kill. The trial city lord didn't give Yi Fei a chance to continue speaking the truth. His entire body was boiling with killing intent, forming a terrifying bloody blade that could cut apart the heavens and earth. He wanted to instantly kill Yi Fei and maintain his dignity as the city lord. Kill. Avenge the prince. Goddamn lowly human beings, you're nothing but pigs and dogs that we've reared. How dare you bully my tiger clan and kill my prince? The death of Lord Bai made the elders of the tiger tribe even more furious. Some of the elders instantly went berserk and turned into huge divine tigers, pouncing towards Yi Fei. This scene, it made the hearts of countless human tribe warriors tremble. They secretly broke out in a cold sweat for Yi Fei. When he saw the elders of the tiger tribe charging towards him, Yi Fei's face was filled with anger and endless coldness. Then, the limitless sword emitted a dazzling starlight. It was like a dazzling star as it was smashed out by Yi Fei. It smashed into a huge divine tiger, causing its brain to burst open, and it died a violent death. How dare you look down on the human race with such little ability? You're all just SOSO. As he spoke, Yi Fei wielded the limitless sword and directly charged into the midst of the elders of the tiger tribe. With one strike of his sword, he smashed the elders of the tiger tribe to death on the spot. The ground was littered with tiger corpses. This scene frightened the other foreign tribes so much that their legs turned to jelly. It should be known that many experts of the human tribe tolerated and gave in to the foreign tribes as much as they could in order to win them over. For someone like Yi Fei, who didn't take them seriously at all and kill them as he pleased, this was the first time they had encountered such a ruthless person. Looking at the tiger corpses that littered the ground, the trial city lord's eyes flashed with a cruel and cold light. He deliberately didn't attack immediately. Instead, he allowed Yi Fei to kill these tigers and silence them. Then, he would attack and kill Yi Fei so that there would be no witnesses. This way, even if the powerhouses of the human tribe came to investigate, they wouldn't be able to find anything that could be used against him. But on the surface, when the trial city lord saw Yi Fei slaughter the tigers, his face revealed a look of anger and grief. He constantly roared at Yi Fei, "Evil creature, you goddamn little demon, I won't do it today. Killing you is truly intolerable. Kill." Bloodblade storm. Rumble, rumble, rumble. As Yi Fei smashed the last tiger tribe elder to death, the trial city lord finally attacked. His body emitted a boundless aura of blood. It was like a torrential downpour, like a meteor shower. Finally, it formed a terrifying beam of light that pierced through the starry skies, shattering the heavens and earth. Sword Dao reaches the heavens, ultimate sword. Yi Fei's domain erupted. Boundless sword light was like a river of stars, illuminating the entire world. Then, it condensed into an incomparably massive Taiji sword array, destroying the heavens and earth. It also extinguished all the surrounding light. Then, Yi Fei didn't retreat. Instead, he advanced. He held the sword in one hand and punched out with the other. The sword was the Taiji Divine Sword. The fist was the Azura Divine Fist. These two different ancient heavenly skills were displayed in Yi Fei's hands. He was completely familiar with them, as if they were his arms. But the Trial City Lord was a powerhouse that had survived countless battles. This person's combat experience was incomparably rich and ruthless. He was actually able to simultaneously control two ancient heavenly skills. Blood one hand, blood one hand, blood one hand, blood blade storm. It formed an even denser net of light that covered the heavens and earth. It also covered the entire Trial City. This was the terror of a true martial emperor. To be able to become the Trial City Lord, there were absolutely no weaklings. But unfortunately, he had encountered Yi Fei. Yi Fei realized that the City Lord was so powerful that he couldn't win with just two immemorial heaven skills. Yi Fei let out a loud shout. While activating the Taiji sword and the Shura fist, his blood and chi suddenly soared into the sky, forming an extremely powerful blood and chi dragon, suppressing the 9 heavens, swallowing the mountains and rivers. Dragon suppressing the 9 heavens. 3 ancient heavenly skills. You can actually control 3 ancient heavenly skills. Damn it, you also have 9 heavenly domains. The Trial City Lord's complexion changed. It had to be known that it wasn't difficult to transform into a peerless, monstrous genius. As long as one had the heavenly spirit bead, they could do so. But to transform into a peerless, monstrous genius while also successfully condensing 9 heavenly domains, this was something that many peerless, monstrous geniuses might not be able to do. After all, the number of domains a warrior could withstand was related to the warrior's mental strength. As for mental strength, other than the sorcerer race, no other race had the ability to raise it. But Yi Fei was an exception. He was a person that had been abandoned by the heavens. Even though he had been abandoned by the heavens, he could escape the restrictions of the heavenly Tao and cultivate any kind of strength. This kind of strength naturally included mental strength. Although the Trial City Lord didn't know this, the heaven-defying strength that Yi Fei displayed still shocked him. At the same time, an unprecedented killing intent and ruthlessness appeared in his heart. Chapter 1759. After all, the City Lord was a martial emperor expert who had fought with the sorcerer tribe all year round. The bloody spear was an extremely powerful, primordial heavenly technique created by the martial god of the human race. In order to master this heavenly technique, one had to fight on the battlefield for decades. Once it was mastered, the might of the bloody spear would be incomparably terrifying. Many warriors only saw a terrifying bloody vortex appear between the heavens and the earth. It wasn't a real vortex, but an illusion created by the bloody spear because it was too fast. In fact, the moment the City Lord attacked, the huge spear had already pierced through Yi Fei's body. It had also pierced the surrounding space into nothingness. The faces of countless warriors were filled with shock. Dead, he's still dead. A quasi-emperor challenging a martial emperor is indeed unrealistic. It's not that Yi Fei is too weak, but that the City Lord is too strong. He was originally a human race expert who had fought with the sorcerer tribe all year round. Even if he had retired in the past few hundred years, an ordinary martial emperor would not be a match for the City Lord. Bloody Battle City. Ignoring the discussions of the crowd, after confidently thrusting out the bloody spear, the expression of the City Lord, who had thought that he had won, suddenly changed. His instincts as an expert made him feel a huge sense of danger. He immediately roared, and countless rays of blood shot out from his body in all directions. Rays of light. These rays of light quickly cut through the sky and the void. Everyone was shocked to see that, just like the City Lord's bloody spear, Yi Fei's pierced body was also an illusion. As it turned out, when the City Lord's bloody spear had pierced over, Yi Fei had already used the heavenly demon phantom of the heavenly sage demonic technique. He had deliberately left an illusion behind to block the attack of the City Lord. As for Yi Fei's real body, he had taken the opportunity to escape into the void and suddenly appeared behind the City Lord. Dazzling sword light, carrying the supreme power of the ultimate sword, cut through the sky and shook the world. However, Yi Fei regretted that the city lord was too strong. This person is indeed a human race expert. They are both martial emperors, but the limitless sword god is at least 10 streets away from him. However, I will not lose. Sword Dao reaches the heavens. Kill. Yi Fei roared once again. He even ignited his undying sword soul, fully activating the unbounded sword. At this moment, all the light in the surroundings dimmed. Only Yi Fei's sword light was like a blazing fire, like a star, emitting a dazzling divine sword light. Boom! When Yi Fei raised the everlasting sword and smashed it down, the entire sky above the Trial City exploded. Even though the Trial City Lord reacted quickly and defended himself in time, the everlasting sword's terrifying weight was something that even a martial emperor would find hard to withstand. After persisting for 10 breaths of time, the Trial City Lord's bloody battle all directions was smashed into smithereens by Yi Fei's chaotic swords. However, Yi Fei did not stop attacking because of this. Instead, he attacked even more ferociously. In the eyes of the crowd, Yi Fei was no longer wielding a sword. It was an incomparably terrifying star. At this moment, this star was filled with boundless starlight. It shattered the sky, shattered the void, and similarly shattered the protective true yuan of the Trial City Lord. Blood flows like a river. The Trial City Lord was suddenly enraged. In the face of Yi Fei's suppression, he did not retreat. Instead, he brought out the experience he had gained from fighting in the human race's impregnable past. He was filled with desperation, determination, and a trace of madness and savagery. He forcefully withstood the boundless sword light and attempted to close in on Yi Fei. He wanted to engage in close combat with Yi Fei. You dare to engage in close combat with me? Very well, I'll grant you your wish. Battle Demon Dao, Azure Dragon's Fury. Yi Fei's body suddenly emitted a blazing golden demonic light. Then, a blazing vermilion bird appeared behind him. A black tortoise armor appeared on his body. His hands turned into dragon and tiger claws. Azure Dragon Heaven Suppressing Prison. White Tiger out of the cage. Rumble. Yi Fei roared out loud. Like the fury of an azure dragon, like the fury of a white tiger, he did not retreat. Instead, he charged forward, clashing head-on with the Trial City Lord. Many of the City Lord's mansion guards that had heard the news were so frightened that their gallbladder nearly shattered. Heavens, who is that person? Doesn't he know that the City Lord's strongest point is close combat? He actually dares to compete in close combat with the City Lord? It's not just close combat. Have you all noticed? Up until now, Yi Fei has already used at least 5 primordial heavenly arts. He also has 9 heaven step domains. In the legends, these are extreme domains that only the strongest of monstrous geniuses can reach. Not good. The City Lord has been defeated. Suddenly, someone shouted. The two figures that were fiercely fighting in the sky suddenly separated. Yi Fei's body was bathed in blood. His battle demon golden body and black tortoise armor had been torn apart. Even the vermilion bird wings on his back had been torn in half by the City Lord's bare hands. But such injuries did not scare away Yi Fei. An injured wild beast was the most terrifying. The more injured Yi Fei was, the more intense his fighting spirit became. In the end, this intense fighting spirit suddenly formed an unparalleled divine fist, bringing with it an incomparably resplendent light as it shot forward. Azura destroys gods. Yi Fei roared. He was like a battle demon that had fallen into madness. What he waved was an unparalleled divine fist that could slaughter gods and demons. Under the cover of this fist, the Trial City Lord's face turned red. He suddenly opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Then, dozens of bloody holes appeared on his body. His injuries were very serious. They were several times more serious than Yi Fei's. When he saw that Yi Fei was actually able to unleash an even stronger battle prowess despite his injuries, even a martial emperor as strong as the City Lord could not help but feel a certain degree of fear in his heart. Damn, Junior, just you wait. Wait until I recover from my injuries. Then I will fight you to the death. Roar. Although he spat out these harsh words, the Trial City Lord retreated at a speed faster than lightning. With his heavy injuries, he didn't dare to continue fighting with Yi Fei. Instead, he fled back to the City Lord's mansion at his fastest speed. Yi Fei was about to give chase when Zhou Qiang, who was below, suddenly revealed a frightened expression. You must not give chase. The City Lord's mansion has a martial god's restriction. It is a dragon's lair and a tiger's den. Yi Fei was shocked. Only now did he understand that the Trial City Lord realized that he could not defeat him and wanted to use the geographical advantage to harm him. Forget it. I will let you live today. If you dare to provoke me in the future, I will destroy the City Lord's mansion as well. Since the Trial City Lord chose not to come out, he still had to give him a warning. Yi Fei simply swung his sword at the City Lord again. Boom! Boom! The whistling sword light formed a sword river that slashed at the City Lord's mansion, causing it to shake violently. Countless buildings were reduced to rubble by this sword light. However, just as Yi Fei's sword light was about to enter the City Lord's mansion, the entire City Lord's mansion suddenly shone brightly. An incomparably strong restriction appeared, blocking Yi Fei's attack. Chapter 1760. This scene immediately caused an uproar among the cultivators in the City of Trials. Many of them were dumbstruck. They never thought that the battle between Yi Fei and the City Lord would end up like this. The powerful martial Emperor City Lord was not only suppressed by Yi Fei, but he also fled without a fight. He fled to the City Lord mansion to seek refuge. This guy called Yi Fei is really too strong, too unbelievable. As expected of the legendary peerless monster. Strange, why isn't Yi Fei's name on the wind cloud list for such a heaven-defying monster? Why not? Did you forget the sensational honor list 3 years ago? The demon saint, white-clothed war god, and the army of destruction. These 3 names even startled the experts in the human race pass. They kept sending people to search for them. Unfortunately, these 3 people never showed up. Who do you think Yi Fei is? The demon saint, white-clothed war god, or the army of destruction? The warriors in the city were discussing animatedly. In the City Lord mansion, the Trial City Lord and the Elder of the Wings clan were discussing Yi Fei's matter with a gloomy face. He can't be the army of destruction. The army of destruction was only nominated on the silver list. With the talent this kid has shown, he must be a peerless demon who was nominated on the honor list. He can't be the white-clothed war god. After all, this kid is ruthless. It's better to call him the war demon than the war god. The Elder of the Wings clan analyzed gloomily. Said the Elder. So, he is the demon saint who became famous overnight 3 years ago. Damn it, if I knew he was a peerless monster, let alone 1 Earth Spirit Pearl. Even if it was 10 Earth Spirit Pearls, this City Lord still wouldn't stand with the Tiger Clan. The Trial City Lord was shocked, angry, ashamed, and ashamed. He had never felt so sullen before. It was so embarrassing. The dignified martial Emperor City Lord was beaten by a junior to the point that he couldn't come out and was a coward. Just thinking about this humiliation made the Trial City Lord's face turn red. It was as if he had been slapped a few times and stepped on a few times. Noticing that the City Lord of the Trial City was wavering, the Elder of the Wings tribe's heart skipped a beat. He quickly comforted, City Lord, don't be rash. Even if this person is the Devil Saint, he still hasn't matured. Besides, he killed Lord Bai, so he must have killed the projection of the Tiger God in Lord Bai's hand. Although the Tiger God wouldn't attack him, the Divine Palace wouldn't let Lord Bai's death go. Yes, Lord Bai not only has the Tiger Clan, but also the palace. Since I can't deal with this evil creature, I'll let the Heavenly God Hall do it. From now on, I'll go into seclusion. I don't want to see anyone else. After the City Lord finished speaking, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with shock and fear. Puff. After returning to Zhou Chang's residence, Yi Fei couldn't bear it any longer and spat out a mouthful of blood on the ground. This immediately scared Zhou Qiang. Young master, are you all right? Don't scare me. We're now in the same boat. If something happens to you, the city lord can crush me to death with a single strand of his hair. Yifei shook his head and sighed. Look at how useless you are. However, to be able to become a trial city master, there are no weaklings. With my battle prowess, I can easily kill an ordinary martial emperor. However, against this trial city master, I was actually seriously injured. Seeing Yi Fei covered in blood, Xiao Qiao ran out with the dragon tortoise with tears in her eyes. Suddenly, Xiao Qiao thought of something and dug into the dragon tortoise's shell. A large black pot was found by Xiao Qiao. Inside the black pot, it was filled with glowing dragon saliva. It was enough for Yi Fei to jump in and take a bath. The dragon saliva had another effect, and that was the healing effect. It was not inferior to the heavenly tribulation liquid in the slightest. Yi Fei's eyes instantly lit up. Without another word, he had already jumped into the black pot. Boom! Sensing the astonishing energy of the dragon saliva, the undying sword soul did not hold back and quickly absorbed all of the dragon saliva's energy in the black walk. Xiao Qiao was still not at ease, so she reached out her small hand and dug around the other side of the dragon turtle's shell. Xiao Qiao pulled out another large black vat filled with dragon saliva. The dragon turtle was so shocked that its black mouth turned white. One had to know that the black pot and the black vat were the dragon turtle's deepest secrets. Even Yi Fei didn't know about them, but Xiao Qiao was able to find them easily. This scene scared the dragon turtle so much that it quickly retracted its tail. It quickly moved some of the spirit stones it had secretly hidden from the cracks in its shell into its belly. However, this made the dragon turtle even more bloated. Xiao Qiao waved his hand and blew a spirit wind. The dragon turtle bounced up like a rubber ball. Heavens, this turtle! Zhou Qiang was completely stunned. Seeing the dragon turtle bouncing up and a large amount of spirit stones rolling out from the gaps of its shell, Yi Fei's expression became even more pained. I was wondering why the spirit stones were being consumed so quickly. After all this time, Dahei, other than attacking with your evil mouth, you're also attacking with your evil claws. Xiao Qiao, drag it out and beat it. Roar! Roar! The dragon turtle was so scared that its face turned white. Before Xiao Qiao could do anything, the dragon turtle had already put up a small wooden sign. It said that it would turn over a new leaf and train hard. Only then did Yi Fei reluctantly forgive the dragon turtle on account of the good healing effects of the dragon saliva. Relying on the amazing effects of the dragon saliva, Yi Fei quickly recovered from his injuries. Just as he was about to ask Zhou Qiang how to enter the fighting spirit space, Zhou Qiang excitedly walked in from outside. Young Master Yi, a big business has come knocking on our door. We're going to be rich. Big business? Zhou Qiang, don't tell me you went out to scam people again? Yi Fei was shocked and quickly put away Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle. Zhou Qiang explained, Young Master Yi, don't you have extra fighting spirit tokens on you? You won't be able to use them all by yourself. It would be a waste to keep it. Right now, there are many warriors in the city waiting for you to sell it. The war spirit token? Fighting spirit tokens can actually be sold. Yi Fei had a strange expression on his face. However, he quickly thought of something. Since Lord Bai could use the extra fighting spirit tokens to bring the other experts of the Tiger Tribe into the fighting spirit space, then he could also sell the fighting spirit tokens to bring more human experts into the fighting spirit space. They could enter the fighting spirit space and obtain the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. I wonder how many spiritual stones one fighting spirit token can sell for? Yi Fei pondered. Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle also quietly pricked up their ears and began to eavesdrop. Young Master Yi, you can't sell it for spiritual stones. That would be a loss. At the very least, you should start with spiritual veins. The fighting spirit token from 10 years ago was sold for 300 spiritual veins. Zhou Qiang said excitedly. Yi Fei also jumped up in shock. What? One fighting spirit token is worth 300 spiritual veins? If I sell all 4 fighting spirit tokens, then I can easily gather 1,200 spiritual veins. With so many spiritual veins, not to mention establishing a super martial emperor family. It would be more than enough to establish a super sect like the Wuji sect. However, when Yi Fei thought about how he needed 10,000 spiritual veins to merge with the despair force for the 8th time, he began to feel bitter. Chapter 1761. After obtaining the Fighting Spirit Order, it did not mean that Yi Fei could immediately enter the Fighting Spirit space. He had to wait for the other trial cities to finish their trial battles. At that time, the 10 trial cities would be connected and the true teleportation array would be activated, allowing martial artists to have the opportunity to enter the Fighting Spirit space. Of course, entering the Fighting Spirit space was easy. If one wanted to capture a real martial god fighting spirit and obtain the opportunity to break through to martial emperor, it would depend on one's ability. After all, a martial god who could leave behind a fighting spirit after death was very powerful when he was alive. Even if the fighting spirit formed after death was only 1,000th of the martial god's power, it was not something that ordinary martial artists could deal with. This was because only in the 10 great trial cities would there be trial battles, and only then would cultivators be encouraged to cross the battle arrays. This was because only cultivators who had the strength to cross the battle arrays would have the greatest possibility of capturing a martial god or battle god in the fighting spirit space and breaking through to martial emperor. Of course, in order to break through to martial emperor, there were many people who were willing to risk their lives to enter the fighting spirit space. These people did not have the ability to cross the array, but they had a large amount of spiritual vein resources. Through these resources, they could still think of ways to obtain the Fighting Spirit Order and obtain the qualifications to enter the Fighting Spirit space. Therefore, when the news that Yi Fei had killed Marquis Bai, defeated the City Lord, and obtained all the Fighting Spirit Order spread, all the martial artists in the trial cities came to Zhou Chang's residence to visit Yi Fei, hoping to obtain the extra Fighting Spirit Orders from Yi Fei. I can sell the Fighting Spirit Order, but only to the martial artists of the human tribe. This is my condition. Zhou Qiang, you can do as you see fit. Yi Fei threw the Spirit Gathering Pagoda and the extra Fighting Spirit Order to Zhou Qiang. He returned to his room and began to cultivate in seclusion, waiting for the Fighting Spirit space to open. Since Zhou Qiang had already made a spiritual soul oath, he would not dare to betray him. Yi Fei did not have to worry that Zhou Qiang would run away with the spiritual vein. It will take at least 3 months before the Fighting Spirit space opens. During this time, I can forget about breaking through. However, I could try to cultivate another primordial heaven skill. Yi Fei had a total of 9 primordial heavenly arts. Other than the 7 primordial heavenly arts he had obtained from the 6 sacred sects, he also had the self-created Taiji, Sword Dao, and the incomplete Azure Dragon's Fury. The Azure Dragon's Fury was improved by the Grand Supreme Dean from the incomplete immemorial heaven art of the true martial 4 elements. It is only between the martial emperor's ultimate technique and the immemorial heaven art. There are still many flaws in it. Previously, the Trial City Lord caught my flaws and almost seriously injured me. I have to think of a way to make up for my weakness in close combat. Yi Fei thought to himself. In fact, with his combat strength and the martial arts that he cultivated, he should be best at close combat. However, it was a pity that compared to the experts of the human clan who had fought with the shaman tribe for hundreds or thousands of years in the impregnable pass of the human clan, Yi Fei was lacking in both experience and martial arts. This also made he gradually lost his advantage in close combat. However, it was not impossible to make up for it. For example, if Yi Fei could perfect the Azure Dragon's Fury and turn it into a true primordial heavenly art, then his close combat ability would definitely be greatly improved. It's a pity that it's too difficult to perfect a primordial heavenly art. Right now, I don't have that much time. Moreover, compared to perfecting a primordial heavenly art, I might as well cultivate a stronger close combat martial art. All right, I remember that the heavenly cauldron suppressing gods of the heavenly holy palace is a powerful close combat martial art. Thinking of this, Yi Fei quickly took out the heavenly cauldron, suppressing gods of the primordial heavenly art. This was the ultimate technique of the heavenly holy palace. It focused on the density of one's qi and condensing it into a cauldron. At the same time, the martial artists of the heavenly holy palace never used weapons. This was because the battle cauldrons they condensed were the best offensive weapons. When cultivated to the limit, they could even transform the battle cauldron into a divine cauldron. This divine cauldron possessed an unparalleled might comparable to a divine artifact. It could be used to attack and defend. The previous saints' sons of the heavenly holy palace were not the strongest, but their strength was the most balanced in all aspects. They were the most invulnerable. If I cultivate the heavenly cauldron suppressing gods, then my weakness in close combat can be completely made up for. 3 months could not be considered long, but it also could not be considered short. But for an ordinary martial artist, wanting to comprehend an primordial heavenly art in such a short time was simply a fantasy. But Yi Fei was different. He had the undying sword soul. He could infinitely increase his perception, even if it was a difficult primordial heavenly art. 3 months. 3 months was more than enough time for Yi Fei to begin cultivating this primordial heavenly art. Heavenly cauldron suppressing gods. Dragon turtle. Now you can use any method you like to attack me. On a certain day, 3 months later, Yi Fei stood in the courtyard and said to the dragon turtle. As for the fact that Yi Fei had refined all of the dragon saliva, the dragon turtle had already made a ruthless mark on the black wooden tablet. Seeing that the opportunity for revenge was right in front of him, the dragon turtle did not hesitate. It picked up the big black pot with its left claw and the big black jar with its right claw and violently smashed them at Yi Fei. Moreover, it specifically aimed at Yi Fei's face. Xiao Qiao was angry. If the dragon turtle smashed Yi Fei like this, what would happen? Yi Fei laughed and did not counterattack. He only condensed all of his true essence into a battle cauldron and used it to block in front of him. With 2 loud bangs, the dragon turtle's black pot did not hit Yi Fei's face. Instead, when the black pot collided with the battle cauldron formed from true essence, it suddenly bounced off. The bottom of the pot even revealed itself. A very deep crack appeared. Roar. Looking at the crack, the dragon turtle roared at the sky with heartache. Then it hugged the black pot and crawled back into the beast-marked space with tears in its eyes. It swore that it would never help Yi Fei test his martial arts again. Zhou Qiang, you do it. Seeing that the dragon turtle did not make a move, Yi Fei beckoned to Zhou Qiang, who had walked in after hearing the commotion. Zhou Qiang smiled bitterly and shook his head. Young master, this is a primordial heavenly art. Ordinary martial arts will not be able to break through the defense of this battle cauldron. By the way, young master, these are the 1,200 spirit veins we obtained from selling the tokens. I have collected them all. As he spoke, Zhou Qiang returned the essence-gathering tower to Yi Fei. Together with the 700 spirit veins Yi Fei had before, the total number of spirit veins in the essence-gathering tower was close to 2,000. Although it was still far from 10,000 spirit veins, Yi Fei was still very satisfied. Although 10,000 spirit veins is a bit exaggerated, I still have a chance to collect them on the battlefield of the human race. By the way, is there any news about Zhao Yu or Dongfang Yu recently? Yi Fei thought of something and asked again. This was also the reason why he had chosen to accept Zhou Qiang. He needed someone who was familiar with the battlefield of the human race to help him gather information about his old friends. Since understanding Yi Fei's talent, Zhou Qiang had worked very hard to gather information for Yi Fei. But strangely, no matter how hard Zhou Qiang tried, he could not get any information about Zhao Yu. Young Master Yi, I don't have any news about Zhao Yu. But Dongfang Yu is currently in the Fengyan city outside the human race's impregnable pass. You will meet him if you go there. By the way, I recently received news that the assessment of the last trial city has ended. The fighting soul space has opened. Chapter 1762. Yi Fei did not hesitate. He immediately flew into the sky and flew towards the largest teleportation platform in the city. Young Master Yi. Young Master Yi is here. That's great. With young Master Yi leading the team, we will be able to capture the martial god's fighting soul in 1 to 5 years and obtain the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. Yi Fei was now considered a celebrity in the Trial City. He had killed Marquis Bai and beaten the city lord so badly that he did not dare to go out. Gradually, there were many warriors who wanted to befriend Yi Fei. Yi Fei did not reject their good intentions. After all, the more friends he had, the more opportunities he could have. The more people he knew, the more information he could get about Zhao Yu and Lu Qing. Through his conversations with these people, Yi Fei also learned many things about the fighting spirit space. For example, not only were the martial god fighting spirits rare in the fighting spirit space, they were also extremely difficult to capture. Because of this, many people would spend years or even decades in the fighting spirit space, bitterly searching for them. Fighting soul. This also meant that the fighting soul space would not be peaceful. Every time a fighting soul appeared, it could cause a bloodbath. It seems that there will be a fierce battle in the fighting soul space. Yi Fei secretly thought. He did not reject the invitation of these people. Instead, he formed a temporary team with them and entered the fighting soul space together. This way, they could take care of each other. It was only after Yi Fei crushed the war spirit token and teleported away that the Trial City Lord walked out of the City Lord mansion with a gloomy expression. He ordered the guards in the city, "Men, quickly capture that Zhou Qiang. I want to put him to death by 1,000 cuts." At the same time, at the entrance of the fighting soul space, 3 men with golden tiger stripes were waiting there with cold expressions. Their auras were very powerful, and they were martial emperors. Martial emperors were not allowed to enter the fighting soul space. However, these 3 men were different. Not only were they members of the royal tiger tribe, but they were also members of the divine palace. Therefore, they could secretly enter the fighting soul space through special means. How is it? Is that guy called Yi Fei here yet? He's almost here. Everyone, get ready. This person killed Lord Bai. This is the greatest provocation to the tiger tribe. If this person doesn't die, the tiger tribe won't be able to rest in peace. He's here. Kill him. Roar, roar, roar. 3 frightening tiger roars were emitted from the mouths of the 3 tiger clan martial emperors. Then, the 3 of them attacked at the same time. Their golden tiger palms carried a power that could shatter the heavens and the earth as they continuously struck at the location where the teleportation light was flickering. Yi Fei's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he saw the 4 young quasi-emperors who had been chatting and laughing with him a moment ago and longing to break through to martial emperor explode under the sneak attack of the 3 tiger race martial emperors. Even in death, they did not dare to believe that there would be martial emperors lying in wait to ambush them. This was something that even Yi Fei had not expected. After all, in his opinion, even if the Trial City Lord and the Tiger Tribe wanted to take revenge on him, they should have done so while he was still in the Trial City. The only thing that he did not expect was that the Sky God Temple was behind Lord Bai. Furthermore, the Sky God Temple had a special method. Thus, the martial emperors could also enter the fighting spirit space. Brother Chun, Brother Zhang, Brother Lu. Yi Fei widened his eyes as he looked at his 4 companions who had died in an instant. Even though they had not known each other for long, they had undoubtedly been implicated by him. Why? If you want to take revenge, it's enough to target me alone. Why do you have to target others? Yi Fei's eyes were red as he rushed out of the shattered space and roared loudly. The 3 tiger race martial emperors coldly mocked him in reply. They're just a group of lowly humans. If they die, then so be it. Not only do they have to die, but anyone who disrespects the Tiger God and the Sky God Temple has to die. Yi Fei die. Kill. Tiger War 8 Wastelands. The 3 tiger race martial emperors had taken action 3 months apart because they needed time to rush over from the Sky God Temple. Secondly, they needed to investigate Yi Fei in detail. When they found out that Yi Fei might be the great demon saint who had passed the golden roll, they were shocked. Subsequently, they became even more determined to kill Yi Fei. As for killing the innocent people, it was naturally convenient to silence them. Otherwise, if they were human experts at the impregnable pass, they would have killed the great demon saint. Even if they were from the tiger race, they would not be able to explain themselves if they killed the peerless demon of the human race. No, with my strength, I can deal with one martial emperor. However, if I have to deal with 3 martial emperors at the same time, I will definitely be defeated. The most important thing for me now is to find a way to capture the fighting soul and break through to the martial emperor realm. Only by breaking through to the martial emperor realm can I take revenge for everyone. Yi Fei's heart was filled with rage. However, he did not lose his rationality. When he found out that the 3 tiger race martial emperors were attacking him, Yi Fei immediately lost his desire to fight. Instead, he activated the heavenly saint demonic art and created an illusion to rush forward. At the same time, he had already entered the void and was about to use the Great Void technique to escape. Die Tiger Tooth Star-Shattering Fist. One of the martial emperors suddenly transformed into a divine tiger. He clenched his huge tiger palm into a fist and shattered the void around him. Yi Fei was also forced out of the void. His face was filled with shock. Soon after, he came to his senses. It must be the Trial City Lord. That old cunning dog. He could not defeat me. Therefore, he purposely sold out all the martial techniques I know to these tiger race martial emperors. Yi Fei was furious. In a hurry, he quickly threw out the Azura Divine Fist and collided with the tiger race martial emperor's star-shattering fist. However, there was more than one martial emperor present. When they saw Yi Fei being forced out of the void, they suddenly roared and charged at Yi Fei from the left and right. Heavenly Cauldron suppressing deities. Yi Fei did not panic in the face of danger. Suddenly, he roared. The true essence in his body condensed into an ancient battle cauldron with 3 handles, suppressing gods and demons. It also blocked the sneak attacks of the 2 martial emperors. The 3 tiger race martial emperors were shocked. Heavenly Cauldron suppressing gods. Damn it, he is so young. He is not even cultivated for 100 years. How could he have mastered so many immemorial heavenly techniques? We can't hesitate any longer. Let's join hands and kill him instantly. Bloody spear. Kill. 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 The 3 tiger race martial emperors suddenly connected their auras and formed a mysterious combined attack formation. It shook the void, and the emperor's might was unparalleled. At this moment, a terrifying blood spear that was 10 times larger than the Trial City Lord's spear appeared. It pierced through Yi Fei's battle cauldron and stabbed towards Yi Fei's body like a bolt of lightning. Yi Fei's face immediately turned pale. He understood that with his current strength, fighting against 3 martial emperors was like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. He was courting death. However, it was not impossible for him to escape. Chapter 1763. The 8th-level Heavenly Dragon was an extremely powerful martial skill. Now that he was using 4 immemorial celestial skills, its power was raised to an unimaginable level. The 3 Tiger Tribe martial emperors saw 8 huge worlds whizzing toward them. Not only did they shatter their joint bloody spear, but they were also enveloping them. Oh my God! What immemorial celestial skill is this? It can actually block our joint attack. No, this is definitely not an immemorial celestial skill. Did you see that? His martial skill contains 4 immemorial celestial skills. This might be a sovereign skill. What? Sovereign? He is just a lowly human. What right does he have to possess a sovereign skill that we martial emperors don't have? Roar! The 3 Tiger Clan's martial emperors all roared furiously. However, amidst their anger, their eyes were also filled with deep shock and greed. Originally, they had only wanted to avenge Lord Bai and kill a peerless genius of the human tribe. No one had expected Yi Fei's battle strength to be so shocking. Not only did he control so many immemorial celestial skills, but he could also use them at the same time. Mastery and use were two different levels. Any martial emperor could master a few immemorial celestial skills as long as they were willing to spend some time. However, it was extremely difficult to use all these immemorial celestial skills at the same time. Without a sovereign skill or above, it was impossible to do so. In Yi Fei's heart, he did not want to expose the 8th-level heavenly dragon. Not only would that attract the attention of the human tribe's experts, but there was also a possibility that the human tribe's experts would force him to hand over the heavenly venerate cultivation method in the name of protecting the human tribe. Therefore, before he broke through to the martial emperor realm, Yi Fei had always kept it secret. Lulu. This time, facing the sneak attack of the 3 tiger tribe martial emperors, it was a matter of life and death. Yi Fei could no longer keep it a secret. He could only use the 8th-level heavenly dragon 3 times in a row and use 4 immemorial celestial skills at the same time to block the fatal attacks of the 3 tiger tribe martial emperors. Unfortunately, using the 8th-level heavenly dragon and using 4 immemorial celestial skills at the same time consumes a terrifying amount of true origin. I only used 3 moves, and my true origin has already been consumed by 90%. Shock flashed across Yi Fei's face. This was the first time he had used 4 primordial heaven arts in battle. The horrifying consumption of quintessence startled Yi Fei. He understood that such a method was not something that a quasi-emperor like him could support. Unless he could break through to martial emperor, he would not be able to bring out the true might of the 8 extreme heavenly dragons. Fortunately, the 3 moves of the 8th-level heavenly dragon were enough to hold off the 3 tiger tribe martial emperors for a while. Taking advantage of this time, Yi Fei immediately called out the dragon turtle. "Blackie, let's run." After he finished speaking, Yi Fei sat cross-legged on the dragon turtle's back. He took out a large number of spirit stones and rapidly refined them to restore his rapidly consumed true essence. When the dragon turtle saw that Yi Fei was facing 3 true martial emperors this time, it was so scared that its body started to tremble violently. Aside from giving Yi Fei another mark on the black wooden token, the dragon turtle exerted all its strength. Before Yi Fei could finish speaking, the dragon turtle had already taken off. As the dragon turtle fled for its life, it burned its body of fat like it was fat. When the 3 tiger tribe martial emperors furiously smashed apart the heavenly dragons that surrounded them, intending to chase after Yi Fei, they were shocked to see an unbelievably fat black turtle instantly disappear before their eyes like a flash of black lightning. That speed was something that even martial emperors would not be able to do. They were slightly ashamed of themselves. One of the tiger tribe martial emperors rubbed his eyes in disbelief. Finally, he was certain that he had not seen wrongly. Yi Fei was indeed sitting on a black turtle. In the blink of an eye, the black turtle had disappeared without a trace. Pooh! The 2nd tiger tribe martial emperor was so angry that he vomited a mouthful of blood. Roar! Yi Fei, don't think of leaving. Kill! You must kill this human. You must not give him the chance to grow. The last tiger tribe martial emperor was so angry that he roared like a mad tiger. In the end, he really turned into a huge divine tiger the size of a mountain. A pair of dazzling golden wings sprouted from his back. Unwilling to give up, he chased after the dragon turtle. The other 2 martial emperors also exchanged glances. They saw the shock and fear in each other's eyes. One had to know that Yi Fei was currently only a heaven-grade quasi-emperor. Yet, he was able to control 4 immemorial heavenly techniques in one go. His talent was terrifying, and his quintessence was vigorous. It was simply rare in the world. If this child successfully breaks through to martial emperor in the fighting spirit space and completely unleashes the might of the immemorial heavenly techniques, he will definitely become a great threat to our tiger tribe. The human tribe will also gain an exceptional martial god. Kill! We must kill him. We must not let the human tribe grow stronger. We must not let this child live to become a martial emperor. Even if we chase after him for 10 years or 100 years, we must not let him go. Roar. As they spoke, the two tiger tribe martial emperors also transformed into huge divine tigers with wings. Not only did their strength increase tremendously, but their speed also increased by at least twofold. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the distant sky and chased after Yi Fei. When the dragon turtle felt the furious roar of the divine tigers behind it and the terrifying martial emperor's aura, the dragon turtle was so frightened that its black mouth turned white. It quickly turned its head and roared at Yi Fei in panic. "Big Black, don't panic. If we can't outrun them in the sky, we'll run underground. Aren't you the best at digging holes? Hurry up. I'll also set up a few camouflage techniques. Hopefully, we can deceive them." Yi Fei sighed. Although the dragon turtle ran faster than a thief, its endurance was not very high. In such a long chase, the dragon turtle would definitely be the first to collapse. Fortunately, Yi Fei had used the spirit stones to recover some quintessence. Although this quintessence was not enough to support him to release the 8-level heavenly dragon again, he could still activate the heavenly saint demonic technique and form a few phantom doppelgangers. At the same time that Yi Fei condensed his doppelgangers and fled in all directions, the dragon turtle also brought Yi Fei and landed on the ground. With a swipe of its dragon claws, a large hole appeared on the ground. In order to avoid being discovered by the pursuing martial emperors, as the dragon turtle dug the hole, it also swallowed all the soil it dug out. When Yi Fei and Xiao Chao saw this, their eyes lit up. "Big Black, so you can eat dirt. Why didn't you say so earlier?" The dragon turtle, who was still focused on digging, immediately turned pale. It suddenly regretted swallowing all the dirt. However, it was too late to regret now. While the dragon turtle was digging a hole and eating dirt, Xiao Chao clearly sensed 3 extremely tyrannical auras. They covered the sky and covered the earth, covering an area of several tens of thousands of meters. Soon after, Yi Fei also sensed 3 extremely terrifying spiritual senses. Not only were they scanning the sky, they were also scanning the ground. Yi Fei was startled. He understood that these 3 tiger race martial emperors were also extremely experienced experts. If he simply let the dragon turtle dig a hole, it might not be able to hide from their spiritual senses. Sensing the danger, the dragon turtle suddenly couldn't be bothered to hide anymore. It hurriedly spat out the soil that it had just eaten, forming a torrent of soil that instantly sealed the hole that it had dug out. Then, the dragon turtle rolled its eyes and lay on the ground with its 4 legs facing the sky. It was no longer breathing. Chapter 1764. The speed of the 3 Tiger Clan martial emperors was very fast. Almost as soon as the dragon turtle blocked the entrance to the cave, 3 extremely powerful divine senses had already swept across the sky and the ground in all directions. With the help of the illusions created by the heavenly sage demonic technique, the divine senses of 2 of the Tiger Clan martial emperors rushed toward the escaping illusions in an attempt to determine whether Yi Fei's real body was among them. However, the last martial emperor of the Tiger Clan was extremely cunning. Not only did he search the sky, but he also sent his spiritual sense directly into the ground, searching for any trace of Yi Fei's concealment, inch by inch. Under such circumstances, simply playing dead would not be able to fool the martial emperors. However, Yi Fei believed that since the dragon turtle dared to play dead like this, it must have a way that he did not know of to deceive the martial emperors. That was indeed the case. Just as the martial emperor's divine sense was about to reach this area, the turtle shell of the dragon turtle that was playing dead on the ground suddenly emitted a layer of bright demonic light. Then, this demonic light enveloped the entire underground cave. Yi Fei was immediately shocked to discover that he had actually lost his sense of the martial emperor's divine sense. Demonic chi can be used like this. Not only can it isolate one's aura, but it can also isolate one's divine sense. After understanding that the dragon turtle was very good at playing dead, Yi Fei heaved a sigh of relief. However, together with Xiao Qiao, they did their best to conceal their auras. Soon, the Tiger Clan Martial Emperor's divine sense also found the underground cave where Yi Fei was. However, due to the isolation of the dragon turtle's demonic light, Yi Fei and Xiao Qiao did their best to conceal their auras. If they did not use their eyes and only used their divine sense, it would be very easy for the Tiger Clan Martial Emperor to make a wrong judgment. They would think that the thing blocking their divine sense was some kind of rock and would not be able to sense any trace of life. How is it, third brother? Did you find out which direction that brat escaped in? At this moment, the other two Tiger Clan's martial emperors also arrived from nearby. After killing the phantoms that Yi Fei had released, they landed on the ground at the same time. Due to the fact that their bodies were too large, they caused the ground to sink a lot. However, the hole that the dragon tortoise dug was very ingenious. It happened to be at the edge of where the three martial emperors were standing. Even though the ground sank, the tiger race martial emperor in charge of searching underground did not discover anything strange. In the end, he could only unwillingly withdraw his spiritual sense and say, "I did not discover anything either. It's too well hidden, or that big black turtle is too good at running. Run? Where can he run to? The fighting spirit space is only so big, and the most important place is the fighting spirit city. I think that no matter where this brat has escaped to, we should rush to the fighting spirit city. If he wants to capture a fighting spirit, he can only go there." The Tiger Tribe elder said in a deep voice. He said, his second brother agreed with him. However, the third brother was a little cunning. "Big brother, I agree with your analysis. However, we have to be careful. Yi Fei might be afraid of our pursuit and take the opportunity to escape from the fighting spirit space." "That's right. There is such a possibility. Let's do it this way. Let's go back to the entrance and destroy the teleportation platform there. After that, we will rush to the fighting spirit city and settle the score with that brat." The second brother of the Tiger Tribe said gloomily. The Tiger Tribe elder immediately shook his head and said, "No, you can go if you want to. I was careless and was injured by that brat Sky Dragon. I need to heal now." "Third brother, that won't do. That brat called Yi Fei calls himself the Demon Saint. He must be a black-hearted, ruthless, and cunning little devil. What if he attacks you secretly when you are alone?" The Tiger Tribe elder said worriedly. Hearing these words, the third brother of the Tiger Clan could not help but laugh out loud. "Ha, big brother, second brother, you guys have overestimated that lowly human. Right now, he is like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. He has long been scared witless. How would he have the guts to come back and find trouble with us? Besides, I have also prepared. After you leave, I will set up a killing array on the ground. Even if that brat is as cunning as a fox, if he dares to come in, I will be able to trap him to death." As he spoke, the Tiger Tribe elder was filled with confidence. He set up a large killing array on the ground, ensuring that even a mosquito that flew in would be crushed to death. Seeing that the Tiger Tribe elder was preparing, the Tiger Tribe elder and second brother moved and rushed towards the entrance of the fighting spirit space. They planned to destroy the teleportation platform there and cut off any possibility of Yi Fei escaping from the fighting spirit space. The Tiger Tribe elder, who was left behind, immediately activated the killing array and covered an area of tens of thousands of miles. Only then did he find a safe place to sit down and begin to heal his injuries. Yi Fei also discovered gloomily that the Tiger Tribe Martial Emperor was sitting on the ground above the cave that the dragon turtle had dug out. At this time, if he continued to play dead, he would be safe as long as he could hold out until the Tiger Tribe Martial Emperor finished healing and left. However, if I let this person finish healing and meet up with the other two Martial Emperors, 3 against 1, unless I break through to the Martial Emperor realm, I won't be a match for the Tiger Tribe. However, if I can take advantage of the fact that this Tiger Tribe Martial Emperor is injured and secretly kill one of them, 2 against 1, even if I can't defeat them, they can forget about chasing after me so easily. After weighing the pros and cons, Yi Fei felt that this risk was worth taking. If he didn't take advantage of the Tiger Tribe Martial Emperor being alone to make the first move, he would only be chased by the Tiger Tribe Martial Emperor until he had nowhere to go. Blackie, go up first and attract their attention. Also, create an opportunity for me to make my move. After waiting for about 15 minutes, the two martial emperors had already left. Only then did Yi Fei order the dragon turtle, who was still playing dead, to quickly crawl out. Hearing Yi Fei's order, the dragon turtle finally found the best reason not to be slaughtered and made into soup. Therefore, it put in extra effort and immediately raised its dragon claws and dug upwards. What's going on? Why is the ground sinking so quickly? On the ground, the Tiger Tribe Martial Emperor took out a large number of spirit stones to refine and heal his injuries. However, before he could start, his body was sinking rapidly. This strange change gave the Tiger Tribe's third brother a fright. His battle instincts made him instantly jump into the air. Another tiger claw tore open the soil on the ground, revealing the back of a large black turtle that was constantly digging. How is this possible? I've clearly checked with my divine sense. There's no life here. Why would such a fat turtle come out from the ground? No, it's its kill. The ground surged and sword lights soared into the sky. Just as the Tiger Tribe's third brother recognized the dragon turtle, Yi Fei had already raised the limitless sword and charged out of the ground, slashing towards the sky. Chapter 1765. The Tiger Clan's third brother was indeed the most cunning one. Although he said that he wanted to kill Yi Fei, his speed of escape was actually faster than anyone else's. He even secretly took out his voice transmission mirror and tried to contact the Tiger Clan's first brother and second brother, hoping that they could rush over to help. Big Black attack. Activate the killing formation. Yi Fei's expression was cold. Since he had decided to attack, he naturally wouldn't give the Tiger Clan's third brother any chance to escape. Just as he charged out and disrupted his opponent's formation, the dragon turtle also rushed to the eye of the killing formation that the Tiger Clan's third brother had set up. It immediately raised its dragon claw and pressed down on the eye of the formation. No! The Tiger Clan's third brother's expression changed drastically. Only then did he remember that he had sinisterly set up a killing formation in the surroundings to prevent Yi Fei from launching a sneak attack. Under normal circumstances, if Yi Fei launched a sneak attack on him from the outside, the killing formation would definitely be activated immediately and cause Yi Fei to lose a layer of skin, even if he didn't die. However, what made the Tiger Clan's third brother so aggrieved that he wanted to vomit blood was that Yi Fei hadn't charged in from the outside. Instead, he had charged out from underground within the killing formation. This way, not only was the killing formation unable to trap Yi Fei to death, but his escape into the sky had also caused him to fall into the range of the killing formation's attack. Rumble. As the dragon turtle activated the killing formation, countless sword shadows suddenly appeared in the sky. There were also countless vengeful spirits who let out mournful howls and lunged at the Tiger Clan's third brother in frenzy. These vengeful spirits didn't care who had set up the killing formation. After all, the principle of the formation was that whoever activated the eye of the formation would be in control of the formation. Since the dragon turtle had activated the eye of the formation, the killing formation naturally fell under the dragon turtle's control. I hate you so much. Goddamn black turtle. You will die a horrible death. The Tiger Clan's third brother's furious and aggrieved roar came from the sky. However, he still didn't turn around, nor did he stop. Instead, he relied on his understanding of the killing formation to constantly avoid the oncoming sword shadows and ferocious, vengeful spirits. He would rather be injured by the killing formation so that he could escape from its attack range as quickly as possible. It had to be said that the Tiger Clan's third brother was indeed a character. None of those who could break through to Martial Emperor were simple people. It's a pity that you met me. I don't blame you for ambushing me, but you shouldn't have killed those innocent people. Thinking of his 4 companions who had died because of him, Yi Fei's body suddenly erupted with an incomparably terrifying killing intent. Then, he raised the limitless sword and charged into the killing array. The intense sword light, along with the heavy power of the limitless sword, was like an incomparably resplendent star that continuously flew towards the tiger. The third elder angrily smashed over. "Roar! Demon Yi, I'll fight it out with you." When he realized that Yi Fei was actually crazy enough to charge into the killing array to kill him, the Tiger Clan's third brother also went completely crazy. With a shake of his body, he directly revealed the huge body of a divine tiger. He destroyed the attack of the killing array and fiercely grabbed at Yi Fei's limitless sword. In the Tiger Clan's third brother's opinion, Yi Fei was relying on the divine weapon in his hand. As long as he could snatch away Yi Fei's divine weapon, then Yi Fei would have nothing to be afraid of. However, although the Tiger Clan's third brother's plan was very good, he had overlooked one thing: the limitless sword's astonishing weight. After all, the limitless sword was refined by the limitless sword god back then by destroying several stars. It was the opportunity for him to break through to martial god. Later on, the limitless sword was ordered by Tian Junzi to refine it again. Its power became even more terrifying. When Yi Fei swung the limitless sword with all his might, the light that bloomed was truly like an incomparably resplendent star that could shatter heaven and earth and shatter the void. No matter how strong the Tiger Clan's martial emperor's tiger body was, it could not possibly reach the level of a divine weapon. When Yi Fei's sword smashed down, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. The Tiger Clan's third brother's tiger paw was badly mutilated by the limitless sword. A deep bloody hole appeared on it. The intense pain caused him to go berserk on the spot. He ignored the injury on his paw and endured the pain. Then, he swung his tiger tail like a pair of scissors at Yi Fei's body. He was going to cut Yi Fei in half even if he was injured. Heavenly cauldron suppressing deities. Yi Fei roared. He did not even look at the Tiger Clan's third brother's tiger tail. As he swung his sword wildly, all the true origin in his body suddenly erupted. It formed a strange true origin battle cauldron that protected him. At the same time, Yi Fei swung the limitless sword again. Once again, the limitless sword god smashed a bloody hole in the ground. "Roar! Even if I die, I'll take you down with me." The intense pain caused the Tiger Clan's third brother to become even more berserk. He had completely turned into a berserk tiger. At this moment, he even ignited his martial emperor's blood essence. His already frightening tiger tail immediately blossomed with dazzling crimson light. With a loud bang, he smashed Yi Fei's battle cauldron into pieces. However, just as Old 3 of the Tiger Clan was about to lash Yi Fei to death at the cost of serious injuries, Yi Fei roared once again. His body also ignited with raging blood flames. At the same time, a layer of blood-red bloodline divine armor once again protected him. Old 3 of the Tiger Clan's tiger tail quickly covered him. The divine armor was smashed into pieces. However, Yi Fei roared again. His body shone with a dazzling golden light again. The battle demon's golden body was activated again. Instantly, every cell and every piece of flesh in his body shone brightly like stars. The terrifying golden demonic light covered the sky and the earth. The might of the battle demon shook the heavens and the earth. Finally, accompanied by a shocking roar, Yi Fei's limitless sword completely smashed the Tiger Clan's third brother's physical defense. Then, a starry divine sword pierced through the Tiger Clan's third brother's head with unparalleled power. You actually have so many defenses. The Tiger Clan's third brother angrily glared at Yi Fei. With his strength, even if he were to die, he could drag Yi Fei down with him. But the Tiger Clan's third brother felt extremely aggrieved. What angered him the most was that Yi Fei's defenses were too exaggerated. Not only did he have the battle cauldron, he also had the bloodline divine armor. Not only that, Yi Fei also had the battle demon's golden body. These layers of defense were like a tortoise shell that could never be penetrated. Therefore, the Tiger Clan's third brother could only watch with hatred as his body was pierced through and then torn to pieces by the endless killing array around him. What a pity. This killing array is too strong. Even the space belt was destroyed. It's a pity that the Tiger Clan's martial emperor's treasures were destroyed. Yifei landed on the ground and looked at the Tiger Clan's third brother, who was smashed to pieces by the killing array. While he breathed a sigh of relief, his body felt weak again. After all, his opponent was also a martial emperor and an expert who had experienced the human tribe's impregnable pass. Although the tiger's tail did not shatter his golden body, it still caused some damage to his body. He was injured to a certain extent. It looks like I'm starting to lose the advantage of having an invincible physical body when facing a martial emperor. Unless I can think of a way to quickly obtain 5,000 spirit veins and successfully cultivate the 11th level of the Battle Demon Way. Big Black, let's go quickly. Chapter 1766. Yifei's conjecture was not wrong. Almost at the same time that he killed the Tiger Clan's third brother, the other two Tiger Clan martial emperors roared angrily. They transformed into divine tigers and rushed back from afar. They were still a step too late. Yifei had already left on the dragon turtle. On the ground, there was only a pool of flesh and blood and the broken killing array. Third brother, you died so miserably. That damn demon Yi. He didn't sneak attack from the outside, but hid underground. I don't know what method he used to hide from our divine senses. Since the Tiger Clan's third brother had died, the eldest brother and second brother could only investigate the cause of death. In the end, they did not know if they did not investigate. After investigating, they vomited blood. It turned out that Yi Fei had been hiding underground all along. However, the Tiger Clan's third brother did not notice. He even set up a killing array and stayed here to heal his injuries. Upon discovering this, the two Tiger Clan martial emperors were both hurt and hurt. Tears fell from their tiger eyes on the spot. Eldest brother, third brother died so miserably. If we don't think of a way to kill that demon Yi, where will the dignity of our Tiger Clan be? The second brother of the Tiger Clan was heartbroken. The eldest brother of the Tiger Clan quickly comforted him. Second brother, don't worry. We will definitely avenge third brother. This lowly human will also die in our hands. Eldest brother, what should we do now? The second brother of the Tiger Clan did not like to use his brain. He preferred the pleasure of tearing humans apart and eating them with his bare hands. A cold glint flashed in the eldest brother's tiger eyes. He laughed sinisterly. Now that the teleportation array at the entrance of the fighting spirit space has been destroyed by us, the only place Yi Fei can go to is Fighting Spirit City. Coincidentally, there are many geniuses from other clans gathered there. We have to inform them in advance and let them intercept Yi Fei. When we get there, we can easily kill this lowly human and take revenge. Yes, revenge. Ordinary humans are no different from the pigs and dogs we raise in captivity. The meat of pigs and dogs is too disgusting. Eating humans is the most delicious, especially women and children. Their skin is soft and tender. I haven't eaten them in a long time. As the second brother of the Tiger Clan spoke, he swallowed his saliva. Warsaw City. This was a city that had been built by the martial artists that had entered the fighting spirit space. Although it was called a city, it was actually just a city built by the martial artists with remarkable abilities. They had moved several mountains and cut them into four walls. Then, they had piled up some huge rocks and dug out many caves. These were the cultivation caves of the martial artists. Although the Fighting Spirit City looked simple and crude, those who could enter the Fighting Spirit space were definitely geniuses among geniuses. They were either powerful or wealthy. In this place, the top geniuses were at the bottom. Peerless geniuses and half-step monstrous geniuses could be seen everywhere. In the fighting spirit space, not only were there martial god fighting spirits, there was also a huge amount of spiritual chi. This spiritual chi was purposely released by the human race experts in order to make it convenient for everyone. Cultivation. In the end, not only were the martial god fighting souls powerful, but they were also very difficult to capture. Some people had been in the fighting soul space for more than 10 years and still might not be able to capture one. For such a long time, if there was no spiritual energy to support him, he could only stop moving forward. Not only would it delay his time, but it would also delay his cultivation. Therefore, the human race experts would purposely release a huge amount of spiritual chi into the fighting spirit space. This way, even if the martial artists could not capture the fighting spirits, they could still cultivate in peace. Walking into the city, Yifei used his spiritual force to sense around. He discovered that there were many martial artists who were cultivating in seclusion in the nearby caves. Many of them were abnormally powerful boundary emperors. Some of them had been cultivating in the fighting spirit space for 3 to 5 years. Some of them had been cultivating in the fighting spirit space for more than 10 years. It was said that the longest one had been cultivating in the fighting spirit space for a few hundred years and had not left. These people were here to capture the martial god fighting spirits. Even if they could not capture the fighting spirits, they could still cultivate in the fighting spirit space for more than a few hundred years. Then they might have the opportunity to break through to the martial emperor realm. This information was given to me by Brother Zhang and the others who came with me. It's a pity that they did not die in the hands of the fighting spirits. Instead, they were assassinated by the tiger tribe. Thinking of this, Yi Fei's eyes flashed with sadness. However, he quickly pulled himself together. The dead were gone, and it was useless to be sad. The most important thing for him now was to find the fighting spirits and break through to the martial emperor realm. When I break through to the martial emperor realm, I will definitely make the tiger tribe and the trial city master pay the price in blood. Yi Fei's eyes became determined. He then strode toward the gap in the valley in the distance. He did not choose to stay in Fighting Spirit City. Instead, he planned to pass through the city and enter the legendary Fighting Spirit Canyon. There were many martial god fighting spirits hidden in the canyon. However, these fighting spirits were very difficult to capture. They also carried the nomological aura of the martial god when he was alive. Therefore, many martial artists came with confidence, but many of them died in the hands of the fighting spirits. In the end, they were devoured by the fighting spirits and turned into a group of vengeful spirits. Before he even got close to the canyon, Yifei could already feel waves of bloody killing aura rushing towards him. Vaguely, he could even see the vengeful souls of the powerful warriors that had died. The bone demon was in the canyon, looking at Fighting Spirit City, letting out a sinister and cold laugh. It was for this reason that many martial artists did not capture the fighting spirits the first thing they did when they entered Fighting Spirit City. Instead, they made friends and formed a team. After all, there was strength in numbers. It was better to form a team than to go in alone and die. Of course, there are also those who went in alone. However, other than the true experts, most of the martial artists who went in alone were killed by the fighting spirits. Their spirits turned into vengeful spirits, and their corpses turned into bone demons. Therefore, when they saw Yi Fei walking into the Fighting Spirit Canyon alone, many people in the caves and on the rocks of Fighting Spirit City sent out their curious divine senses. They were especially surprised when they realized that Yi Fei was an unfamiliar face. It was obvious that he was a newcomer who had just entered the fighting spirit space. Oh my God, this kid is a newcomer. Which continent is he from? Didn't anyone tell him that a newcomer entering the canyon alone is equivalent to courting death? If this person is a peerless genius who has the strength to kill a martial emperor, then entering the canyon alone to hunt fighting spirits is the most suitable choice. Am I right, Brother Yi? At the entrance of the Fighting Spirit Canyon, a young man walked over elegantly from afar. He was as graceful as a white swan. My name is Long Crane. My father is from the human race, and my mother is from the Wing clan. Long Crane smiled and introduced himself. Chapter 1767. Get out of the way. Don't force me to make a move. Yi Fei looked at the tiger race quasi-emperor and tried his best to suppress his anger. Even though he didn't have a good impression of the other races, Yi Fei didn't need to guess to know that it must be the two tiger race martial emperors, since Long Crane was able to recognize him and bring so many experts from the other races to wait here. They must have sent a message to Battle Spirit City in advance. Hearing Yi Fei's words, the tiger race quasi-emperor who was blocking the way immediately became furious. He deliberately used a provocative tone and shouted angrily, "If I, Huang Hu, am to give way just because you say so, won't I, Huang Hu, lose face? Senior Huang, please pay attention to your tone. Brother Yi, you too. You don't have to worry too much. We won't interfere in the grudge between you and the tiger race. I'm just curious about Brother Ye's strength." Long Crane's position seemed to be very high among this group of outsiders. However, hearing Long Crane's words, even the arrogant tiger race expert Huang Hu unwillingly retreated. However, Huang Hu still blocked Yi Fei's path, not giving Yi Fei any chance to enter Battle Spirit Canyon. Behind Huang Hu stood a large group of experts from the other races. There were a total of 10 to 20 of them. Among them, there were 15 young geniuses and less than 10 older generation experts. This was also very different from the situation of the human race. In the Fighting Spirit City, many of the human race were older generation experts. The number of true young geniuses was very small. This made Yi Fei a little disappointed. He had thought that he might meet some old friends in the Fighting Spirit City. It seems that either Di Fan and the others didn't enter the Battle Spirit space, or different trial cities have different Battle Spirit spaces. Yi Fei secretly pondered. Seeing that Huang Hu had no intention of making a move, he didn't take the initiative to make a move. Most importantly, he still couldn't be sure if the two tiger race martial emperors had caught up. Thinking of this, Yi Fei's heart moved. He also looked at Long Crane and said, "Brother Crane, since you don't want to participate in the grudge between me and the tiger race, then why did you bring so many people to block my way?" "Brother Yi, you've misunderstood. I'm not trying to stop you. I've said it before, I'm just curious. Moreover, these friends of mine are also very curious about you. You should know that it's been a long time since a human race expert has entered the fighting spirit space, especially young experts like you and me. I mean to you, I'm very interested in you. My guests are also very interested in you. If Brother Yi doesn't mind, why don't you sit here and discuss the Tao with us and have a few drinks?" As he spoke, Long Crane waved his hand, summoning a large cloud from the sky. It condensed into a giant cloud. The foreign experts who had come with him were all familiar with this, and naturally sat down cross-legged on top of the cloud. These clouds either condensed into tables, chairs, lotus flowers, cloud mounts, or cloud giants. They were extremely beautiful and mysterious. Soaring, he displayed his skills even more, continuously summoning multiple layers of colorful clouds and materializing layers of pavilions, buildings, flowers, and trees. He actually turned this ancient and desolate fighting spirit city into a paradise that was like a heavenly palace. Just the method that Soaring he used was not something that an ordinary heaven-grade quasi-emperor could do. Really, in the beast-mark space, Xiao Qiao and the dragon turtle widened their eyes at the same time as they watched this miraculous scene. A pure white fox girl from the Fox clan was even more dazzled. She looked at Long Crane with some infatuation and said, "Young Master He, your methods are really beautiful. This servant really wants to spend the night with you one day. I really wish to have a good chat with you." The fox girl emphasized the words through the night. Her face was flushed red, causing many of the young experts from other races to become restless and their souls to sway. Long Crane was still as calm as ever. After doing all this, he took out a flaming bottle of wine and casually filled dozens of cups to the brim. He distributed them to everyone, then pushed them to Yi Fei and said with a faint smile, "Brother Yi, I've embarrassed myself." "How is this embarrassing?" "Brother Long Crane's methods are truly divine. Even I can't help but feel the urge to compete with Brother Long Crane." Yi Fei's face was moved. He truly admired Long Crane's ability to move like clouds and flowing water. He truly admired Long Crane's ability. He couldn't help but have a better impression of Long Crane. Clearly, there were still many earth-shattering young experts among the foreign races. "Let's not talk so much. Young Master Long Crane's wine is rare. Let's drink to our heart's content." Whoever dares to not drink is a coward. At the top of the clouds, a young oxman with a pair of horns on his head spoke in a low, muffled voice. His words immediately incurred the dissatisfaction of the fox girl not far away. "Brother Ox, what do you mean? Nu is a girl." Although she said that, the fox girl did not hold back. She drank the wine in her cup in one gulp and then turned the cup upside down. She was a heroine among women. "Ha ha, Sister Fox, you're so straightforward. Looks like I can't fall behind." The young oxman also laughed and drank the wine in one gulp. He also turned the cup upside down. Then the other foreign youths also laughed and drank the wine. In the end, they all looked at Yi Fei and the wine in Yi Fei's hand with ridicule. They were even waiting to watch a good show. "This kid definitely won't dare to drink it. I bet he'll find an excuse to refuse." The human race is just so. The foreign youths winked at each other after drinking the wine. Long Crane did not rush Yi Fei. He only smiled at Yi Fei. Yi Fei returned a smile. His smile was very clean and mellow. It made people feel at ease from the bottom of their hearts. They believed that someone who smiled like this must be an honest person. Then, under the surprised, shocked, and puzzled gazes of the foreign powerhouses, he took the wine from Long Crane. Yi Fei was not like the other humans they had seen. He did not carefully examine the wine, nor did he find an excuse to refuse. Seeing the wine floating in front of him, Yi Fei smiled. He picked up the cup and drank it in one gulp. "Good wine. It's mellow and rich. Although it's not as strong as our human race's wine, it has a different kind of fragrant beauty. Since Brother Yi likes it, let's drink another cup." I didn't expect there to be someone as interesting as Brother Yi in the human race. Seeing Yi Fei drink the wine, Long Crane could not help but be moved. He suddenly poured another cup of wine solemnly. "Brother Yi, you're indeed a dragon among men. What do you think of the guests around me?" Long Crane seemed to be testing Yi Fei, but he also seemed to be hinting at something else. Yi Fei nodded with a smile. He drank the wine first. Then, with a simple and honest smile, he looked around at the crowd and said, "Except for the yellow-skinned tiger, the rest of you are all young geniuses, heroes among the beasts. To be honest, I'm full of fighting spirit to be able to meet so many foreign powerhouses in one day. Unfortunately what?" Huang, who was a quasi-emperor of the tiger race and an expert of the older generation. He was furious when Yi Fei called him a yellow-skinned tiger. Chapter 1768. Yi Fei's actions immediately caused the entire Battle Spirit City to fall silent. Countless experts of the human race who were paying attention to the commotion here with their divine senses were secretly worried for Yi Fei. It had been many years since anyone had dared to say such unyielding words in front of the experts of the other races. It was even a little arrogant. When they heard Yi Fei's arrogant words, the 20 or so experts of the other races sitting cross-legged on the clouds all sneered. As a quasi-emperor of the tiger race, Huang, who was the first to stand up in anger, he threw his wine cup on the spot and scolded, "Human race scum, how arrogant! If it weren't for the orders of the two martial emperors, if they were to come and take your life, I would have bitten you to death. Scram! You're just a yellow-skinned tiger. You haven't broken through to the martial emperor realm, even though you're a few hundred years old. Since when is it your turn to make a fool of yourself at our gathering of young warriors?" Yi Fei suddenly turned his head and scolded Huang Hu, especially when he called Yi Fei an old trash tiger. Huang Hu was embarrassed, angry, aggrieved, and berserk at the same time. He was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot and pointed at Yi Fei without saying a word. Seeing that Huang Hu was defeated, the bull-horned youth who had provoked him earlier suddenly stood up coldly and said, "Huang Hu is indeed not qualified to participate in our conversation. But what about me? I'm qualified to be your opponent, right? This is Nyoda, Li of the Ox race. The ox race is born with divine strength. They can push mountains and fill seas. They have evolved into a demigod ox demon and have the power to shatter stars." Long Crane, who was at the side, helped to introduce. Then He pointed at another youth who stood up and said, "This is Kong Buhui of my winged race, the 9th-ranked expert on the silver list. No, compared to my brother's #1 on the silver list, I'm still far from it. However, it's more than enough to deal with a few ignorant scum of the human race." Kong Buhui sneered at Yi Fei. Yi Fei's arrogant words just now had angered him. "Since everyone is so interested, it seems that I have no choice but to make a move." The pure white vixen rolled her eyes and suddenly stood up. Her beautiful eyes curiously sized up Yi Fei, but there was no gentleness in them. Instead, there was a sense of coldness. "This is the little fox fairy of the Fox clan. She was born with the Nine-Tails bloodline and has great potential. Even if she doesn't have a fighting soul, she will definitely break through to the martial emperor realm within 10 years. Big brother that's where you're wrong. Just introduce him. Why do you have to expose new news bloodline? However, this human is quite pleasing to the eye. Why don't you become my servant? Perhaps Nu can help you plead with the 2 martial emperors. I might even let you go." Seeing Yi Fei face the crowd of heroes, he said, "Who knows?" She was still able to remain calm, but the little fox girl was clearly tempted. Her expression was also seductive. This immediately angered the other bear-like youth. Before the little fox girl could finish speaking, he had already stood up and roared, "This arrogant lowlife! If it weren't for the 2 martial emperors, I would have killed him with one slap. Brat, what are you looking at? If you don't want to die now, kneel down and crawl under my crotch." This was no longer a provocation. It was obvious that he wanted to humiliate Yi Fei. Long Crane frowned. Although he didn't like it, he was still patient and prepared to introduce Yi Fei to him. But at this time, Yi Fei extended his hand and stopped Long Crane as he said, "Brother Crane, no need. I have a habit. That is, I don't like to remember the names of dead people. Since everyone is bent on seeking death, if this Yi doesn't fulfill your wish, wouldn't it disgrace my human race's face? Everyone, please die. Nothing else matters. You better not move." 8th-level Celestial Dragon. Yi Fei's smile was simple and courteous, but his attack was thunderous and earth-shattering. He didn't give the foreign experts a chance to attack. The roaring 8th-level Celestial Dragon had already formed 8 different worlds, suppressing time and space and destroying heaven and earth. Then, Yi Fei used the Heavenly Sage demonic art, Dragon suppressing the 9 heavens, Heavenly Cauldron suppressing the gods, and Divine Azure Fist at the same time, to attack the 4 foreign experts. The complexions of Long Crane and the other Young Heavens Pride experts changed. Some of them suddenly stood up and prepared to counterattack. However, many of them were shocked to find that they couldn't even move under the suppression of the 8 extreme Heavenly Dragon space-time power, let alone stand up. In fact, they couldn't even move. This was because there was a great terror all around them, causing them to panic and their souls to shatter. Only Long Crane reacted. He roared, and a silver light burst out from his body. He struggled to get rid of the influence of Yi Fei's 8th-level Celestial Dragon. Then, Long Crane saw an unbelievable scene. In the whole cloud, except for the young experts who were still sitting, everyone who stood up except for him had their bodies shattered. Their bodies fell to the ground stiffly. The first to die was the Bear Tribe youth. Because of his rude remarks, Yi Fei directly smashed him into a pile of meat paste and piled him on the cloud. Then, there was another explosion. The bull-horned youth suddenly turned into a 5-colored sacred bull. His body was full of bloody holes, and he fell to the ground. Dong! Suddenly, another huge tiger head rolled down from the sky. It rolled all the way to Yi Fei's feet and was kicked away by Yi Fei. Coincidentally, it kicked into the empty bosom of Bu Hui. But before Kong Bu Hui could recover from the shock, there was another exclamation. It was a pure white beauty's head. It suddenly rolled in the middle of the cloud. After a few rounds, it suddenly turned into a furry fox's head, covered with blood. Yi Fei is so cruel. He even killed a pure fox fairy. Devil, this is simply a devil. Gosh, when did such a cruel person appear in the human race? No wonder the Tiger Tribe sent martial emperors to kill him. Sounds of people sucking in cold air could be heard everywhere. Even someone as strong as Soaring Crane felt his hands and feet turn cold at this time. He had received a request to the tiger race martial emperor. That was why he had led a large group of foreign experts to wait here to intercept Yi Fei. However, Long Crane's blood was half human. Therefore, he did not want to go too far. He only promised to intercept Yi Fei, but he would not attack Yi Fei. The banquet just now was to test Yi Fei's courage. Secondly, he hoped that through his introduction, Yi Fei would be intimidated. He hoped that Yi Fei would not act rashly and could only wait patiently for the two tiger tribes' martial emperors to arrive. As for whether Yi Fei would live or die at that time, it would have nothing to do with Long Crane. The only thing that Long Crane hadn't expected was that Yi Fei's methods would be so decisive and ruthless. More than 20 young experts of the foreign races hadn't been able to suppress Yi Fei. Instead, Yi Fei had killed 4 of them in an instant. Chapter 1769. Yi Fei did not care about the shocked, horrified, and complicated expressions of the other foreign experts. He toasted Long Crane and thanked him for his hospitality. Then, he turned around and left. This time, not a single foreign expert dared to stop him. Even Kong Buhui, who had always looked down on the human race, could not help but shiver when he saw the bloody tiger head in his hand. As for why he did not kill Kong Buhui, it was purely because Yi Fei wanted to give face to Long Crane, who said that the human race is weak. Among our human race, there are still powerful martial gods who are bathed in blood and fighting, and there are still these outstanding young monsters. I just don't know who this person is. He actually attracted so many foreign experts and even tiger race martial emperors to chase after him. That's right. No matter how powerful this young master is, the ones chasing after him are real martial emperors. I hope he can escape with his life under the tiger race's pursuit. Yi Fei's action of killing Huang, Hu, and the others could be said to be very satisfying. However, Yi Fei's actions had offended the foreign races too ruthlessly. Many people could not help but secretly worry for Yi Fei in their hearts. After all, this was not land, but the human race's battlefield where experts gathered. In this place, no matter how talented a martial artist was, if they did not become a martial emperor, they would only be a slightly stronger ant. And if they wanted to become a martial emperor, even in the fighting spirit space, it was extremely difficult. In the end, those martial emperor fighting spirits would not be willing to be captured by others. The moment Yi Fei stepped into the fighting spirit canyon, there were dozens of terrifying figures in the canyon. They roared and howled as they crazily charged towards Yi Fei. These figures included both men and women, human experts and foreign experts. They were all warriors who had entered the canyon but had been killed by the fighting spirits and turned into vengeful spirits and bone devils. Moreover, the accumulation of resentment over the years had allowed these vengeful spirits and bone devils to develop intelligence. They also knew how to cultivate, and many of them even retained the martial arts techniques they had when they were alive. For example, the vengeful spirit in tattered clothes at the very front was using a mysterious movement technique, constantly flashing as it approached Yi Fei. Roar! The ground behind Yi Fei suddenly exploded, and a rotten skeleton of a divine tiger jumped out. It opened its ghastly white mouth and was about to bite Yi Fei to death. Yi Fei's expression could not help but change. This War Soul Canyon is not an ordinary place of danger. Even experts from the tiger tribe have died here. However, this is not enough to stop me. Taiji 4 Phases Sword, White Tiger, Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise. Yi Fei couldn't even be bothered to use the 8-level Heavenly Dragon. He directly used the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise divine swords. They formed 4 rainbow-like divine sword lights that slashed in all directions. Soon, the vengeful spirits and bone devils that were charging at them were wiped out. However, the strange thing was that these vengeful spirits and bone devils were not killed. Instead, They all turned into flowing light and entered a strange world. In that world, Yifei saw countless broken bone devils and vengeful spirits sleeping and recovering. I see. These bone devils and vengeful spirits in the War Soul Canyon cannot be killed. As for why this is so, it should be a test deliberately left behind by the experts of the human tribe. After all, the number of martial god fighting souls was limited. However, there were tens of thousands of martial artists who wanted to break through to the martial emperor realm. Even if he captured all the fighting souls in the fighting soul space, he would not be able to satisfy everyone's needs. Rather than let everyone fight and kill each other, it was better to leave these vengeful spirits and bone devils as a test. After all, if he couldn't even resist these weak, vengeful spirits and bone devils, then he could forget about capturing the fighting souls formed after the death of a martial emperor. It's a pity that although there are enough vengeful spirits and bone devils, their basic strength is still too weak with my current combat strength. In the end, Yifei did not even use his domain. He just relied on the weight of the everlasting sword to smash the vengeful spirits and bone devils that came into contact with him. They were either smashed to death or smashed to pieces. Strange. I have walked so far, but all I have encountered are vengeful spirits and bone devils. Where are the fighting souls? Are there too few of them, or are they hidden too well? Yifei became more and more puzzled as he walked. He also found something very strange. The interior of the War Soul Canyon was barren and the ground was scorched black. Could there really be fighting souls in such a place? Yifei could not help but become suspicious. At the same time, he was a little anxious. Although Long Crane did not become my enemy for some reason, the Tiger Tribe's martial emperor knew my whereabouts because of this. With their strength, they can easily kill their way into the War Soul Canyon. At that time, it will be 1 against 2. Without breaking through to martial emperor, there is no chance of victory. If the Tiger Tribe gathers other experts from other tribes to besiege me, then my life will be in danger. Yifei pondered as he walked. Gradually, he became numb to the vengeful spirits and bone devils that appeared from time to time and lowered his guard. At this moment, a vengeful spirit that was charging at him suddenly had a deeply hidden cold glint in its empty eyes. Then, this vengeful spirit followed the other vengeful spirits and howled as it madly charged at Yifei. Yifei also subconsciously smashed out with his sword, wanting to smash these vengeful spirits into ashes. Suddenly, Yifei felt that something was wrong. If it was a moment ago, the everlasting sword would have smashed these vengeful spirits into pieces. But this time, one of the vengeful spirits was not spared. Not only did the vengeful spirit not disperse, it even took the opportunity to speak. At this moment, it opened its black hole-like mouth and bit down on the everlasting sword. A fierce and unparalleled force made Yifei feel as if he could not hold on to the everlasting sword. His arm went numb, and the everlasting sword was snatched away by the vengeful spirit. Crunch, crunch. On the ground, the sound of gnawing could be heard. However, the everlasting sword was too hard and too heavy. The vengeful spirit was not able to chew the everlasting sword into pieces and eat it. Instead, its entire body bit down on the everlasting sword, and it fell from the sky with a thud, smashing into the ground and causing the ground to rumble. Yifei was shocked to discover that the ground of the Fighting Soul Canyon was several hundred times harder than the ground outside. Even with the weight of the everlasting sword, it was difficult to damage the ground. Then Yifei looked in shock at the vengeful spirit that was still biting onto the everlasting sword. No, this is not a vengeful spirit. An ordinary vengeful spirit does not have the strength to snatch the everlasting sword from my hands. I know, you're a fighting soul. Roar. Realizing that its identity had been exposed, the vengeful spirit that was biting the everlasting sword suddenly transformed from an ordinary vengeful spirit into an even more terrifying, gigantic black snake. This black snake had 2 wings, 3 legs, and a dragon horn-like crown on its head. On its forehead, there were mysterious fiend god characters. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.